you found exactly what you need tonight. As you settle in, as your body naturally begins to relax into the comfort you've created around yourself, you're about to discover something fascinating about who you are and where you come from. Tonight's journey will show you why modern you would struggle in ancient times, and more importantly, why that knowledge will help you understand yourself in a way that brings deep peace. Take a comfortable breath. Feel whatever surface is supporting you right now. You're safe, you're warm, and you're about to step back 40,000 years to a world so different from yours that surviving even 3 hours would test everything you think you know about being human. Picture this with me. It's late afternoon 40,000 years ago, somewhere in what will one day be called Europe. Misty valleys stretch between ice-carved mountains. A river in the distance makes sounds your ears recognize but have never actually heard. The air touches your skin with a coolness that feels clean, ancient, untouched by anything modern. This is the world of the Neanderthals, and for the next 2 hours of your evening, we're going to explore it together in a way that helps you appreciate everything about your modern life, especially the gift of safe, peaceful sleep. The Neanderthals knew sleep differently than you do. They understood rest as something earned through survival, something shared with others, something that required preparation and awareness. As you prepare for sleep tonight, imagine them doing the same 40,000 years ago. But their preparation wasn't just about comfort. It meant surviving until morning. Every choice they made in those evening hours determined whether they'd see another sunrise. You're going to spend 3 hours in their world tonight, at least in your imagination. Just 3 hours. And what you'll discover is that everything about your modern body and mind, everything that serves you so well in your daily life, isn't built for that ancient world. This isn't a story about weakness. It's a story about evolution, about adaptation, about how perfectly designed you are for exactly the life you're living right now. Take another slow breath and imagine stepping into that ancient world. You're wearing what you're wearing right now. You have the body you have right now. You have the knowledge in your head, but not the skills in your hands. You have modern eyes, modern ears, modern instincts. And you're standing at the edge of a valley as the sun begins its descent toward the horizon. Let's begin at the most dangerous time of day, sunset, when you'd realize within minutes that everything about you is optimized for a world that won't exist for 40,000 years. The first thing you notice is the quality of the light. It's golden, yes, but there's something about it that feels vast and ancient. No power lines cross the sky. No distant sounds of traffic create that background hum you've grown so used to, you don't even notice it anymore. There's just wind, water, the occasional call of a bird you don't recognize. You see them in the distance. A group of maybe 20 individuals making their way toward a rock shelter carved into a limestone cliff. Even from here, even in the fading light, you can tell they're different from you. Broader, more muscular, moving with a kind of effortless power that makes your own body feel suddenly fragile. These are Neanderthals, and they've been surviving in this landscape for hundreds of thousands of years. You've been here for 3 minutes. The temperature is dropping. You feel it immediately. Your modern body, designed for climate-controlled environments, for heated homes and warm clothing, begins to notice the cold in a way they don't. You watch them moving steadily towards shelter, seemingly unbothered by the dropping temperature that's already making you want to hug yourself for warmth. They're wearing simple hide clothing, not much more coverage than you have, but somehow they're generating heat in a way your body isn't. This is when you'd make your first discovery. Your body, your modern human body, is efficient, streamlined. It conserves energy brilliantly for the life you actually live, a life of mental work and social complexity and technological problem solving. But efficiency means you don't waste energy on unnecessary heat production. The Neanderthals aren't efficient in that way. They're furnaces. Their bodies are heat generators built for Ice Age survival. And that difference is about to become very, Very important, as you settle deeper into whatever comfortable space holds you right now, as your own perfect temperature regulation keeps you ideally warm for sleep, appreciate this for a moment. Your body knows exactly how to maintain perfect comfort. It doesn't have to work hard. It doesn't have to generate excess heat. It can dedicate all its nighttime energy to rest, to repair, to processing the day's experiences into memory and wisdom. The Neanderthals never knew this kind of effortless comfort. You're watching the sun touch the horizon now, painting the Ice Age sky in colors that haven't changed in 40,000 years. The same physics of light through atmosphere creates the same golds and oranges and deepening blues. For just this moment you feel connected across time. They saw these colors. You see these colors? Something fundamental and human links you across an impossible distance. But then the sun drops below the mountains, and your 3-hour countdown truly begins. The temperature drops 5 degrees in 15 minutes, then another 5 degrees in the next 15. Your modern body, already working to stay warm, begins to shiver. This is your first real survival challenge, and you're only 30 minutes in. The Neanderthals have reached their shelter and are beginning the evening routines that will keep them alive through the night. You're standing in an open valley, getting colder by the minute, beginning to understand that knowledge and intelligence aren't the same as adaptation. Feel your own warmth under your covers, the perfect temperature that surrounds you. This is luxury they could never imagine. The gift of effortless warmth. As you drift deeper into relaxation tonight, let yourself appreciate this fundamental comfort that they spent every evening working to create and maintain. The light is fading fast now. Ice Age evenings don't have streetlights, don't have the ambient glow of cities reflecting off clouds. When the sun sets here, darkness comes completely. And with darkness comes something else. A sound in the distance that makes every Neanderthal head turn instantly toward its source. A sound that means your second hour is about to teach you something crucial about survival. Your breath matches ancient rhythms now. Slow, steady, safe. You're exactly where you need to be. Safe and warm in your bed, you can relax completely as we explore why Neanderthals never worried about cold the way you would. This isn't about toughness or willpower. This is about biology, about the fundamental architecture of bodies designed for different worlds. The temperature has dropped below freezing now. Your breath makes clouds in the darkening air. You're shivering continuously, which is actually your body's attempt to generate heat through muscle movement. It's not a bad strategy, but it's expensive. Shivering burns calories you don't have and produces heat you can't maintain. Within an hour of continuous shivering, you'll be exhausted. Within 2 hours, your core temperature will start to drop. Within 3 hours, you'll be hypothermic. The Neanderthals aren't shivering. From your position in the valley, you can see them moving around their shelter with steady, controlled movements. No wasted energy. No desperate attempts to stay warm. Their bodies are doing something yours can't, something built into their very DNA, over 400,000 years of cold adaptation. Let me paint you a picture of why. Imagine if you could see thermal imaging of a Neanderthal and a modern human standing side by side in Ice Age cold. The Neanderthal glows red and orange, heat radiating from a core that runs hotter than yours by a full degree Celsius. Their barrel chest isn't just for show. It's a heat retention chamber. Their shorter limbs aren't a limitation. They're adaptations that reduce surface area for heat loss. Their massive nasal cavities aren't just for breathing. They're preheaters, warming frigid air before it reaches delicate lung tissue. Your modern human outline in that thermal image shows blue and purple at your extremities. Your fingers and toes are already limiting blood flow to preserve core heat. Your long limbs, perfect for heat dissipation in warmer climates, are hemorrhaging warmth into the freezing air. Your narrow nose is letting cold air directly into your airways, making each breath a little shock of ice. Feel your own perfect breathing right now. The air around you is exactly the right temperature. Your body doesn't have to work to warm it or cool it. Your lungs take in breath after breath with no effort, no discomfort, no cold shock. This is the gift of your modern life, the gift of shelter and climate control and adaptation to a world where extreme cold isn't a nightly survival challenge. 30 minutes have passed since sunset. You're hugging yourself now, trying to create warmth through contact with your own body. It's not working well. The Neanderthals have started a fire, and even from your distance in the valley, you can see how quickly and efficiently they did it. Fire for them wasn't a luxury or a camping skill. It was survival technology they could execute in less than a minute because they'd done it thousands of times since childhood. You don't know how to make fire.
Not really.
You might know the theory. You might have watched videos or read about bow drills and hand drills and friction techniques. But knowledge isn't skill. Your hands don't have the calluses. Your muscles don't have the memory. Your judgment doesn't have the experience to know which wood types work, which tinder catches, which conditions allow or prevent ignition. The cold is becoming painful now. Not the sharp pain of injury, but the deep ache of heat loss. Your muscles are tensing involuntarily, trying to insulate your core by creating rigid shells of contracted tissue. This tension uses energy and produces very little useful heat. It's a losing strategy, but it's all your modern body knows to do. The Neanderthals aren't just warmer by chance or luck. Their basal metabolic rate runs approximately 15% higher than yours. This means that at rest, doing nothing special, their bodies generate more heat than yours does, even when you're working to stay warm. They're biological furnaces built for an ice age, and you're an energy-efficient modern human built for a world with central heating. Let yourself sink deeper into your own perfect warmth. Feel how your body doesn't have to fight for comfort, how rest comes easily when survival isn't at stake, how blessed you are to live in a time when cold is an inconvenience you solve with a thermostat, not a nightly threat to your life. 45 minutes now.
Your shivering has become violent.
You're burning through your limited energy stores, trying to generate heat that dissipates almost as quickly as you create it. You need shelter. You need fire. You need the technology and skills the Neanderthals possessed naturally. But you're starting to realize that even if you found shelter, even if you somehow made fire, there's something else about your body that makes you vulnerable in ways you never considered. The Neanderthals have a gift you don't possess. Their muscle fibers are denser, stronger, more powerful than yours by a significant margin. Estimates from bone analysis suggest they were 30 to 40% stronger than modern humans of similar size. This strength isn't just for hunting or fighting.
It's for everything.
For gathering massive amounts of firewood quickly, for breaking branches that would resist your efforts, for building shelters and processing hides and doing the endless physical labors of Ice Age survival. Your modern body has traded some of that raw power for efficiency and endurance. You can run marathons they couldn't dream of. You can maintain steady work for hours where they would need to rest. Your body is built for persistence, for outlasting prey over long distances, for the kind of steady, sustained effort that characterizes agricultural and industrial work. But right now, freezing in an Ice Age valley, your marathoning ability isn't helping you. You need explosive power to gather enough wood before you lose the ability to use your hands. You need density and strength to break the thick branches that burn long and hot. You need Neanderthal muscles, and you have modern human efficiency instead. 1 hour has passed. Your core temperature has dropped 1 degree. You don't have specialized equipment to measure it, but you feel it. The cold has moved from your skin into your bones, into your center. You're approaching the edge of what your body can tolerate without serious consequences. The Neanderthals are settling into their evening routines, comfortable and secure. You're in the early stages of hypothermia. Feel your breath now warm and easy. Feel your heart beating steadily with no stress, no fear, no desperate effort to survive. Your body trusts the environment it's in. It knows safety. It knows rest. It can release all the ancient vigilance that kept humans alive through millions of years of dangerous nights. You can simply be, simply rest, simply drift into the peace that comes when survival isn't in question. The stars are emerging now, brilliant in the unpolluted darkness. They're the same stars the Neanderthals see, the same patterns humans have watched since consciousness emerged. For a moment, looking up at them, you feel the connection again, the deep time link between you and them. They looked up at these stars every night. They found patterns in them. They maybe told stories about them. And now you look at the same lights, separated by 40,000 years, but joined by the shared human experience of wonder. But wonder doesn't warm you. The temperature is still dropping. By midnight, it will reach -10 degrees Celsius. By morning, -15. These aren't the coldest temperatures Ice Age Europe experienced. These are mild autumn conditions, comfortable for Neanderthals, lethal for unprepared modern humans. Your body is struggling now. Your thinking is getting fuzzy, which is one of the dangerous signs of hypothermia. You're having trouble making decisions, trouble planning, trouble organizing the simplest survival strategies. The cold isn't just physical, it's cognitive. It's attacking your ability to think your way out of the situation, which is, ironically, your greatest evolutionary advantage. The Neanderthals don't need to think their way through this. Their bodies handle it automatically, instinctively, with biological systems built for this exact environment. You need technology and planning and complex problem solving, but the cold is making those abilities fade just when you need them most. Let yourself drift deeper now. Your own perfect warmth surrounds you. Your own clarity remains intact because you're safe. Feel the difference between their nightly struggle and your nightly peace. Appreciate how far humanity has come, how much comfort we've created, how perfectly adapted you are to the modern world that actually exists. The fire at the Neanderthal shelter glows warmer. You're drawn toward it without even deciding to move. Heat pulls you like gravity. But as you take your first steps toward that distant light, something else happens. A sound echoes across the valley that changes everything. A sound that means your next hour will teach you that temperature isn't even your biggest problem. Your breath matches the ancient rhythm, safe and warm in modern peace, exactly where you need to be. As they drifted to sleep, so do you, but first, understand what sounds kept them alert. What sounds meant the difference between another sunrise and becoming part of the Ice Age food chain. The roar starts low, builds in volume, and echoes off the valley walls until it seems to come from everywhere at once.
It's unlike anything you've heard.
Not a line from a zoo or documentary.
Something bigger, deeper, more primal.
This is a cave lion, one of the apex predators of Ice Age Europe, and it's hunting. You freeze. Every modern instinct in your body floods you with adrenaline. Your heart races. Your breathing quickens. Your pupils dilate. The classic fight or flight response activates completely. But here's what's fascinating and terrifying. You don't know what to do with this information. The roar came from somewhere. But where exactly? Your modern ears, shaped by lives spent in echo-filled rooms and noisy streets, can't pinpoint the source. The valley walls bounced the sound in complex patterns your brain isn't trained to decode. You know there's a predator. You know it's close enough to hear. But you don't know if it's 1 kilometer away or 100 meters. You don't know if you're upwind or downwind. You don't know if you just became its target or if it's hunting something else entirely. Watch the Neanderthals. Every head turned at exactly the same moment, oriented in exactly the same direction. They not only heard the roar, they processed it instantly with auditory skills developed over hundreds of thousands of years of being both predator and prey. They know the cave lion is approximately 2 kilometers northeast, hunting in the forested area beyond the ridge. They know it's not an immediate threat but requires monitoring. They know all of this in the 2 seconds it takes you to simply identify that the sound was threatening. Feel your own ears now, resting in perfect safety. They're marvelous instruments, capable of processing complex speech and subtle music and emotional nuance in voice. They're adapted for communication, not survival acoustic analysis.
And that's perfect for your life.
You don't need to locate predators in darkness. You need to understand podcasts and video calls and the subtle vocal tones that convey meaning in conversation. The Neanderthals have returned to their activities, but with a different quality of attention. Part of their awareness now tracks the acoustic environment, listening for follow-up sounds that might indicate the cave lion is moving closer. This kind of split attention is something they maintain automatically, without thinking, the way you maintain awareness of cars when crossing a street. It's built into their survival operating system. You're still frozen in place, adrenaline dump making you tremble. Modern humans aren't designed for regular predator threats. Your nervous system treats this like a rare emergency, flooding you with stress hormones that will take hours to clear from your bloodstream. The Neanderthals treated it like relevant information requiring appropriate response. Their nervous system surged briefly and settled immediately. They can't afford to waste energy on sustained stress responses. Another sound now, closer.
A lower vocalization, almost a grunt.
The cave lion is communicating with others. You didn't know cave lions hunted in groups. You didn't know many things about Ice Age predator behavior because you didn't need to know. The Neanderthals learned from childhood, through observation and teaching and surviving, what every sound means and how to respond. Your modern brain is trying to remember things you've read, trying to recall documentary footage, trying to apply abstract knowledge to concrete danger. This delay between perception and response is costing you precious survival seconds. The Neanderthals responded before they consciously thought because their responses are deeper than thought, wired into reflexes and instincts refined by countless generations. Let your breathing slow now. There are no predators in your space, no dangerous sounds requiring instant analysis and response. Your world is domesticated, controlled, safe in ways they could never achieve. Feel your heart rate settling back to perfect rest rhythm. Feel the security that comes from living in a world where the most dangerous sounds you hear are alarms and notifications, not hunting predators. The roar comes again, farther now. The cave lion is moving away, pursuing prey you'll never see. The immediate danger passes and you feel the adrenaline rush beginning to fade, leaving you shaky and exhausted. This one sound, this one brief encounter with Ice Age reality has drained you in ways you're only beginning to understand. The Neanderthals show no signs of exhaustion. One roar wasn't an ordeal for them. It was information processed and filed and forgotten as soon as it became irrelevant. They live in a constant stream of sensory data that requires instant evaluation, dangerous, neutral, beneficial. Their minds are databases of survival knowledge applied in real time without conscious effort. You're realizing something profound now. Being human in the Ice Age wasn't about knowing facts. It was about embodied knowledge, muscle memory, instinctive responses faster than thought. You have the knowledge but not the knowing. You understand concepts but don't possess skills. The gap between information and ability has never felt wider. As you drift deeper into rest tonight, appreciate this gap. You don't need Ice Age skills. You need modern ones: complex communication, abstract thinking, technological problem solving, social cooperation across vast distances. Your lack of predator sensing ability isn't a weakness. It's a trade-off for the cognitive abilities that actually serve your survival in your world. The valley is quiet again, except for wind and water. The cave lion's roar fades into memory, but something about that sound changed you. You're more aware now of your vulnerability, your displacement, your dependence on knowledge and tools rather than biological adaptation. And you're starting to understand that the sound wasn't even the dangerous part. The dangerous part is what you might do next. Your breath matches ancient rhythms now, safe and warm in modern peace. Feel your breath matching ancient rhythms as we discover why stillness meant survival and why every modern instinct would betray you in the ancient night. Your body wants to run. Every fiber of your being says move, flee, put distance between yourself and danger. This is normal. This is your sympathetic nervous system doing exactly what evolution designed it to do. The problem is that evolution designed your response for different threats in different environments. Running right now would be the fastest way to die. The Neanderthals know something your body doesn't. Predators have motion-triggered attention. Movement catches eyes across vast distances, especially at dusk when low light makes stationary objects blend into landscapes. That cave lion is somewhere out there with visual processing optimized for detecting motion. Standing still makes you effectively invisible.
Running makes you prey, but it's not just about visibility.
It's about what running would demand from your modern body in Ice Age conditions. Your cardiovascular system is brilliant. It's engineered for endurance, for sustained moderate effort over hours or days. You're built for persistence hunting, that uniquely human strategy of following prey until it collapses from exhaustion. You can run marathons. You can maintain steady effort longer than almost any other species. The Neanderthals can't do this. Their cardiovascular systems are built for power, not endurance. But power is what you need right now, and it's what you don't have. If danger required an explosive sprint to safety, they could generate forces you can't match. Their muscle density is 30% higher than yours. Their fast twitch muscle fibers are optimized for immediate, overwhelming force. Your muscles are different. They're efficient. They work on sustainability rather than explosion. In a sprint to safety, you'd be slower, weaker, less capable than them by a significant margin. And worse, the effort would cost you more. Your body would burn through its limited resources trying to generate power it's not designed to produce. Feel your body at rest right now, perfectly relaxed. Your muscles don't have to prove anything. They don't have to generate explosive force or demonstrate power. They can simply be supporting you gently, allowing you to sink deeper into rest. This is what modern bodies are built for: efficient, sustainable, long-term function, not desperate bursts of survival effort. The Neanderthals remain still near their shelter, but it's a different stillness than yours. Theirs is controlled, ready, coiled. Yours is frozen, uncertain, maintained through willpower, fighting against screaming instincts. They've trained this stillness since childhood. You're forcing it against your nature, and the effort is exhausting you almost as much as running would. There's another problem with running that you haven't considered yet: the terrain. In good light, on clear ground, you're a decent runner by modern standards. But this is Ice Age Europe at dusk. The ground is uneven, covered in frost, littered with stones and roots and hazards you can barely see. Every step risks a twisted ankle, a fall, an injury that would be instantly fatal in this environment. The Neanderthals know every meter of their territory. They've walked these paths in darkness countless times. Their shorter, more robust leg bones are more resistant to the stress fractures your longer, lighter bones risk with every impact. Their wider feet distribute weight better on uncertain surfaces. Evolution built to them for this exact terrain. Your longer legs, perfect for covering ground efficiently on smooth surfaces, become liabilities on rough ones. Your narrower feet, optimized for endurance running on stable ground, slip and slide on frost-covered stone. Your higher center of gravity, efficient for sustained forward motion, makes you less stable when surfaces are uncertain. Let yourself appreciate your own stability right now. You're supported completely. No need to balance or compensate or maintain precarious position. Your modern life rarely requires the kind of terrain navigation that was daily reality for ancient humans. You've traded that skill for others: fine motor control for technology use, postural adaptation for sitting work, movement patterns optimized for artificial environments. The urge to run is fading now, not because you've overcome it, but because your body is getting too cold to maintain high alert status.
This is actually dangerous.
You're entering a hypothermic state where your judgment and instincts are both degrading. The discipline to stay still, which might have saved you 30 minutes ago, is now simply immobility from cold exposure. The Neanderthals have noticed you, though you don't realize it. They spotted you when you first appeared in the valley, assessed you as strange but not threatening, and have been peripherally monitoring you since. Their awareness includes everything in their environment, weather changes,
Animal movements, group dynamics, potential threats.
and one displaced modern human freezing in their valley. Your awareness is narrowing. Cold and fear are collapsing your attention to immediate physical sensation. You're losing the broader environmental consciousness that might help you survive. Your modern human tendency toward focused attention, so useful for complex cognitive tasks, becomes a liability when survival requires broad,
Multi-threaded awareness. Feel your own consciousness now, free to focus or expand as you choose.
You don't need survival vigilance. You can let your attention drift, narrow to single thoughts, release awareness of environment completely. This freedom to not monitor for threats is one of modern life's greatest gifts, though you probably never think about it. The valley is darker now. True night is arriving, and with it comes a new challenge, one hidden in your very blood, one you won't recognize until it's too late. Your third vulnerability isn't about strength or instinct or terrain. It's about something more fundamental, how your body processes the air you breathe. Your breath matches ancient rhythms, safe and warm in modern peace, perfectly oxygenated, perfectly supported.
Exactly where you need to be.
Time fades as ancient stories unfold. Breathe deeply as you learn what made their blood superior and what makes yours perfectly suited for the world you actually inhabit. You're breathing harder now, and it's not just from cold and fear. Something else is happening that you don't recognize because you've never experienced it before. You're at altitude about 100-200 meters above sea level, which doesn't sound extreme. Modern cities exist at this height. Ski resorts operate higher. But there's a crucial difference. You're working hard in extreme cold, in Ice Age atmospheric conditions, and you're not adapted. The Neanderthals evolved in the mountains of Europe. Their entire physiology is calibrated for high-altitude living. Their barrel chests aren't just for heat retention. They're massive lung chambers that process oxygen with remarkable efficiency. Their nasal cavities are huge, increasing the surface area for oxygen absorption. Their blood carries more hemoglobin, more red cells, more oxygen per liter than yours does. Your body is beautiful, but it's designed for different conditions. Modern humans evolved primarily in Africa, at lower altitudes, in warmer conditions. Your efficiency is calibrated for sea level oxygen abundance and moderate temperatures. Put you at altitude in extreme cold while experiencing stress, and your system struggles. Feel your breathing right now, effortless and complete. Each breath delivers exactly what you need, with no strain, no inadequacy, no deficit. Your lungs work perfectly for your life. They don't need Ice Age capacity because you don't face Ice Age challenges. Appreciate how right your body is for your actual circumstances. 2 hours have passed since sunset. You've been cold, afraid, and increasingly active as you tried to stay warm and move toward the distant fire. This combination has created an oxygen demand your body can't fully meet. You're breathing faster, but getting less benefit per breath than you need. The cold makes your blood vessels constrict, reducing circulation to extremities. The altitude means less oxygen per breath. The stress and exertion increase demand precisely when supply is limited. The Neanderthals are breathing slowly, calmly, efficiently. Their larger lung volumes mean each breath delivers more oxygen. Their higher red blood cell counts mean they transport it more effectively. Their circulation remains strong despite cold because their cardiovascular systems are built for these exact conditions. They're getting more oxygen with less effort, which means more energy reserves, clearer thinking, better survival odds. You're starting to feel it now, though you might not recognize what it is. A vague lightheadedness, difficulty concentrating, a sense that your thoughts are moving through fog. This is mild hypoxia, oxygen deficit affecting your brain function. It's subtle at first, but it's cumulative and dangerous. The cruel irony is that hypoxia impairs judgment, including the judgment needed to recognize you're hypoxic. You might attribute the mental fog to cold or fear or exhaustion. You might not realize that your blood isn't delivering adequate oxygen to your brain and that every decision you make from this point forward is compromised. The Neanderthals have no such compromise. Their brains receive abundant oxygen even during high exertion. Their thinking remains clear because their biology supports cognitive function under Ice Age conditions. They can make complex survival decisions while you're struggling to form coherent thoughts. Let your mind rest now in perfect clarity. Your brain is receiving everything it needs. Oxygen flows abundantly. Your thoughts can drift and play and rest without fear of critical impairment. This cognitive security is one of modern life's invisible
gifts, something you've never had to worry about and probably never even considered.
The oxygen crisis reveals something profound about adaptation. The Neanderthals aren't superhuman. They're differently human, shaped by different pressures toward different solutions. Your body made different trades. You gave up some high-altitude capacity for heat tolerance. You sacrificed some oxygen efficiency for other metabolic advantages. Every adaptation is a compromise, a bet on what environment you'll actually face. Your bet paid off because you're not living in Ice Age Europe. Their bet paid off for 400,000 years until the world changed in ways that made their specializations less valuable than your flexibility. Evolution doesn't create perfect organisms. It creates organisms suited to specific environments, and it's ruthlessly specific. Feel your breath deepening now, fully satisfying. No deficit, no struggle, no oxygen debt accumulating toward crisis. Your body is exactly right for your environment, which is exactly right for you. The circle is complete. The fit is perfect. And you can release any anxiety about meeting standards you were never meant to meet. 3 hours haven't passed yet, but you're approaching the deadline. The oxygen deficit is combining with hypothermia to create a cognitive cascade. Your ability to plan is deteriorating. Your judgment is impaired. Your physical coordination is degrading. Even if you had the skills to survive, your mind and body are losing the capacity to execute them. The Neanderthals are settling into night routines, completely unaware of your crisis because it's not a crisis they can imagine. They've never experienced inadequacy in their own environment. They don't know what it feels like to be fundamentally mismatched to the world around them. Their confidence isn't arrogance, it's the natural state of perfectly adapted organisms in their adapted environment. You're learning humility of a profound kind, not the humility of moral failing or personal weakness, but the humility of evolutionary specificity. You're not weaker. You're differently designed. Your weaknesses here would be strengths elsewhere. Your design is right for a different world, and that different world actually exists, waiting for you back in your own time. As you drift deeper into rest tonight, carry this lesson. You don't have to be good at everything. You don't have to meet every standard or excel in every environment. You're designed for specific purposes in a specific world, and that's not limitation, it's perfection. The Neanderthals were perfect for their world. You're perfect for yours. The fog in your thinking is thickening. You need to make a decision about shelter, about fire, about survival strategy. But the oxygen your brain needs to make good decisions is insufficient, and the deficit is making the deficit worse. This is how hypothermia and hypoxia kill. Not suddenly, but through cumulative degradation of the very faculties needed for survival. Your breath matches ancient rhythms now, perfect and complete. Safe and warm in modern peace. Exactly adequate for exactly your life. Precisely right for who you are. The valley is fully dark. The Neanderthal fire glows like a beacon. and you face the choice that will determine your fate. Where to seek shelter in a landscape where every obvious choice is a hidden trap. Safe and warm in ancient wisdom, discover what they knew about protection and what your modern instincts would tell you wrong. You see it clearly now in the darkness. A cave entrance, maybe 50 meters away, partially hidden by an overhang. Your modern mind, trained by camping trips and survival shows and evolutionary psychology, says shelter equals safety. This is where you should go. This is the obvious solution. This is what makes sense. The Neanderthals would never approach that cave, not without extensive assessment that your foggy brain can't even conceptualize, let alone execute. What looks like shelter to you is potential death trap to them, and the difference in perception is everything. Caves in Ice Age, Europe aren't empty real estate waiting for occupants. They're prime territory claimed by the apex predators and most dangerous animals of the era. Cave bears, massive omnivores weighing 600 kilograms, prefer caves so strongly they're named for them. Cave hyenas, social predators operating in packs, den in rock shelters. Cave lions occasionally use them. Even leopards claim certain caves as secure feeding sites where they stash kills. Your modern nose can't detect what the Neanderthals would smell immediately. The distinctive musk of cave bear, the acidic scent of hyena scat, the blood smell indicating recent predator feeding. Your modern eyes can't see what they would spot instantly. Scratch marks on stone showing territorial marking, bone fragments indicating feeding sites, the specific patterns of disturbance showing recent occupation. Feel your own nose now, resting in air you don't have to analyze for threat. Your sense of smell is perfectly adequate for detecting smoke, spoiled food, gas leaks, the subtle scents that matter in modern life. You don't need to smell territorial predators because your world doesn't have them. Your adaptation is right for your reality. The Neanderthals approach caves with elaborate protocol developed over hundreds of thousands of years. They read air currents because predator scent travels on wind. They study the ground for tracks, and their tracking skills are sophisticated enough to determine not just what animal passed, but when, in what direction, in what state of alertness or hunger. They examine the cave mouth for scratch marks, for hair caught on stone, for the subtle signs of territorial claiming. You see none of this. You see shelter. The gap between what you perceive and what exists could kill you in the next hour. Let's say you enter that cave. The temperature inside is marginally warmer than outside, which your cold, numbed body registers as relief. The darkness is complete, but you feel your way deeper, seeking protection from the wind that's been draining your heat all evening.
You're thinking about making it through the night.
You're not thinking about what might already be here. 20 meters in, you smell something. Your untrained nose finally registers what should have stopped you at the entrance, the thick, musky smell of large animal. But now you're deep inside, your night vision is gone, your retreat path is through darkness you can't navigate quickly. And somewhere in this darkness, something else is breathing. The Neanderthals know that safety isn't about finding the best shelter. It's about finding adequate shelter that's actually available. They know that obvious solutions are obvious to every other creature seeking the same resources. They know that second-tier options are often safer than premium locations precisely because they're uncontested. Your modern life rarely requires this kind of assessment. The best apartment is usually actually the best apartment. The nicest hotel room doesn't come with hidden predators. Your instinct to seek optimal solutions serves you well because in your world, optimal is actually available. In their world, optimal is probably already claimed by something that can kill you. Feel your own shelter around you now. It's yours. Completely and safely yours. No assessment needed. No territorial threats. No deadly surprises waiting in darkness. You claimed this space through social and economic means the Neanderthals never knew. And now it's simply, completely, safely yours. This security is so fundamental, you probably never think about it. You back out of the cave, heart racing again, adrenaline flooding your system for the second time tonight. Each adrenaline dump costs you energy and warmth and cognitive clarity. The Neanderthals manage their nervous system responses with precision because they can't afford the metabolic cost of frequent panic. You're burning through your reserves with stress responses that would be reasonable if they were rare, but are lethal when they're frequent. The problem isn't just this cave. It's that every obvious shelter option comes with similar risks you can't assess. Rock overhangs might have leopards lounging above, ready to drop on prey below. Dense thickets might harbor sleeping hyenas or wolves. Even open areas that look safe might be hunting grounds for pack predators who know prey seeks them. The Neanderthals don't just know where to shelter. They know where not to, which is equally important and much harder to learn. They know which areas predators avoid and why. They know which spaces are genuinely uncontested because they lack some resource predators need. They know the landscape not as geography but as a complex web of territorial claims, resource competition, and danger zones that shift with seasons and animal movements. Your modern mind tries to solve this with logic. You think through principles and reason from first causes. But survival knowledge isn't logical. It's empirical, accumulated through generations of observation and learning and fatal mistakes made by others. You're trying to derive in 3 hours what took them 400,000 years to develop. Let yourself drift deeper now, releasing the need to figure everything out. Your world doesn't require this kind of knowledge. You can rest in not knowing because not knowing is safe in your environment. The gift of modern life is that ignorance of ancient survival skills is completely adequate for thriving. The temperature continues dropping. You're approaching the end of your 3rd hour. You need fire, but we haven't even begun to explore why your soft modern hands can't produce it. You need shelter, but you can't identify safe options. You need rest, but resting in the wrong place means never waking up. The Neanderthals are comfortable now in their chosen shelter, fire burning steadily, grouped together creating additional warmth. They're transitioning into evening social time, that peaceful period between survival work and sleep, when humans have always connected with each other. You're still in survival crisis, still seeking basic security, still far from any possibility of rest. Your breath matches ancient rhythms, safe and warm in modern peace, sheltered perfectly, protected completely, exactly where you need to be. As they drifted to sleep by ancient fires, so do you drift deeper into understanding why skill and knowledge are profoundly different things. You need fire. This isn't optional anymore. Your core temperature has dropped enough that without external heat in the next 30 minutes, you'll progress from mild to moderate hypothermia. Moderate hypothermia means confused thinking, loss of coordination, inability to help yourself. It's the threshold past which survival becomes unlikely without assistance. You know how fire works. You understand the chemistry of combustion, the necessity of heat and fuel and oxygen. You've seen demonstrations of friction fire making. You might even have tried it once or twice at a workshop or camping trip. You have knowledge. What you don't have is skill, and in survival situations, that difference is everything. The Neanderthals can make fire in 60 seconds. This isn't exceptional for them. It's baseline competence, like your ability to unlock your phone or type a message. They've done it thousands of times since childhood. Their hands know the movements without conscious thought. Their judgment about materials and conditions is automatic. Their success rate approaches 100% because failure meant death often enough that poor firemakers were selected out of the population. You gather what you think is the right wood, dead branches that seem dry enough, some bark that looks fibrous for tinder. You're working from remembered images and verbal instructions, trying to translate abstract knowledge into physical action. Already you're disadvantaged in ways you don't recognize. The Neanderthals know wood by intimate familiarity. They know which species produce sustained friction heat. They know which bark types catch from minimal spark. They know how moisture content affects every stage of the process. They know the differences between wood that's been dead 3 months versus 6 months versus a year. This knowledge isn't intellectual. It's sensory, developed through constant interaction with materials their lives depend on. Your hands are soft. This seems like a minor detail until you begin the bow drill technique you half remember from a video. The spindle needs to rotate fast with steady pressure. This requires grip strength and calloused skin. Your modern hands, adapted for keyboard use and touchscreen interaction, blister within 30 seconds of the friction and pressure needed. Feel your hands now resting gently. They're perfect instruments for the life you lead. Sensitive enough for fine motor control.
Smooth enough for comfortable tool use.
Strong enough for daily tasks. They don't need survival calluses because your survival doesn't depend on friction fire. Your adaptation is exactly right for your actual needs. The blisters hurt, but you push through because you understand the stakes. Blood mixes with sweat on the spindle. Your technique, already poor, degrades as pain interferes with coordination. The wood is heating, you can smell it, but no ember forms. The Neanderthals would have achieved ignition 30 seconds ago. You're 2 minutes in with nothing to show but damaged hands and wasted energy. Their hands are 20% stronger than yours by bone density and muscle attachment measurements. Their grip strength is extraordinary. Their calluses are so thick they can handle hot coals briefly without burning. Every aspect of their hands is optimized for survival work that requires both power and endurance. Your hands are optimized for precision and sensitivity, different tools for different tasks. You try again with the hand drill method, thinking maybe the simpler technique will work better. Now you need even more hand strength and perfect vertical pressure. The spindle keeps slipping. Your palms are raw. Your fingers are going numb, partly from cold and partly from the compression forces you're applying. The Neanderthals learned fire-making in childhood through play that gradually became serious skill. They practiced under supervision with feedback and correction. They developed muscle memory and judgment through hundreds of repetitions before their survival ever depended on it. You're trying to learn a complex physical skill in an emergency, which is exactly when learning is most impaired. Let yourself sink deeper into rest. You don't need these skills. Your world provides fire at the touch of a button, the strike of a match, the click of an ignition. Your inability to make friction fire isn't inadequacy. It's appropriate specialization. You've dedicated your learning time to skills that actually serve your survival in your actual world. 15 minutes have passed. Your hands are bleeding. You've produced smoke but no ember. The physical work is generating some body heat, but you're burning energy faster than you're replacing it. The law of diminishing returns is catching up with you. Soon, you'll be too exhausted to continue trying, and then hypothermia will advance without resistance. The Neanderthals keep their fires burning through the night with practiced efficiency. They know how to arrange wood for long, slow burning. They know how to bank coals for morning rekindling. They know how to protect flames from wind and moisture. Fire for them isn't just ignition, it's fire management, an entire skill set you lack completely. Even if you created an ember, you'd face the delicate challenge of transferring it to tinder without extinguishing it. You'd need to blow with exactly the right force and rhythm. Too hard and you scatter the ember. Too soft and it dies from insufficient oxygen. The Neanderthals know this rhythm in their lungs, can judge the ember's readiness by subtle color, changes you wouldn't notice. Your modern life has made you dependent on reliable ignition, matches, lighters, stove pilots. You've never had to create fire from scratch because you've never needed to. Your civilization solved this problem so thoroughly that the skill became unnecessary, which allowed you to dedicate learning capacity to other things that actually matter in your world. Feel your breath now, easy and unforced. You don't have to measure it, control it, use it as a tool for survival. You can simply breathe, simply exist, simply rest. This freedom from constant survival effort is one of modern life's greatest gifts, though you probably never think about it this way. 20 minutes. Your core temperature is still dropping. The physical exertion from fire attempts has slowed the decline but not stopped it. You're approaching the point where, even if you made fire, you might lack the coordination to benefit from it properly. Hypothermia is insidious, stealing competence gradually until you can't help yourself, even when help is available. The Neanderthal fire glows in the distance, warm and steady and utterly unreachable. They wouldn't welcome you. You're strange, potentially threatening, definitely unusual. Their group cohesion doesn't extend to random outsiders. Even if you could reach them, even if they tolerated your presence, you'd be the lowest status individual with no skills to contribute and no relationships to protect you. Your breath matches ancient rhythms, safe and warm in modern peace.
Fire available instantly.
Security absolute. Exactly where you need to be. The third hour is ending. Your time is nearly up. And in these final minutes, you're about to understand something profound about human evolution and adaptation. Feel your breath matching ancient rhythms as profound wisdom emerges from the edge of survival, from the boundary between what you are and what they were. You're sitting against a rock now, too exhausted to continue, too cold to think clearly, watching the Neanderthal fire in the distance. Your 3 hours are nearly complete. You haven't died yet, but you're on the threshold. Without intervention, without help, without dramatic change, the next few hours would progress from moderate to severe hypothermia, from consciousness to confusion to unconsciousness to death. But in this moment, as your thinking slows and your body begins the final stages of shutting down, something crystallizes in your mind, an understanding that's more profound than any survival skill you lack. The Neanderthals aren't stronger versions of you. They're not what you would be if you trained harder or learned more. They're different humans entirely, and that difference goes all the way down to DNA. Every aspect of their bodies represents 400,000 years of cold adaptation. Every reflex, every instinct, every physical structure was shaped by the specific pressures of Ice Age Europe. They're not better humans. They're Ice Age humans, perfectly designed for this exact environment in this exact era. Their perfection is specific, narrow, deep. You're not a failed Neanderthal. You're a successful modern human, perfectly designed for a completely different world. Your body traded cold tolerance for heat tolerance. Your muscles traded power for endurance. Your brain traded survival instinct for abstract reasoning. Every trade was beneficial in the environment your ancestors actually faced. Feel this truth settling into your bones, deeper than cold, deeper than fear. You are exactly right for your world.
Not inadequate, not weak, not failed.
Just different.
Adapted to different circumstances.
Optimized for different survival challenges. The Neanderthals would die in your world as quickly as you're dying in theirs, just from different causes. Imagine them in modern life. Their massive caloric needs would struggle with food scarcity in complex economies. Their bodies, built for constant movement, would suffer from sedentary work. Their limited endurance would handicap them in careers requiring sustained mental effort. Their survival instincts, perfect for Ice Age dangers, would misfire constantly in complex social environments where threats are abstract and political rather than physical and immediate. You're learning humility of the deepest kind. Not the humility of personal failure, but the humility of evolutionary specificity. Every organism is adapted to something specific. Generalists pay costs in every environment. Specialists dominate their niche and die outside it. The Neanderthals were specialists who faced a world that changed. Modern humans were generalists who could adapt to that change. Neither is better. Both are human. Both are valid. Let yourself drift deeper into this understanding.
You don't have to be good at everything.
You don't have to meet standards designed for different lives. You are enough, exactly as you are, for the life you actually live. The Neanderthals were enough for their life. You're enough for yours. Enoughness is contextual, not absolute. The cold is making you drowsy now, which is dangerous. Hypothermia's final stage often includes paradoxical undressing, where dying people remove clothing because confused thermoreception makes them feel hot. You're not there yet, but you're close. Your thinking is fragmenting. Your sense of time is distorting. Past and present are blurring together. The Neanderthals have disappeared into their shelter. It's full night now, cold and clear and filled with stars. You look up and see the same constellations they saw, though you know different stories about them. They maybe saw hunters and prey in those star patterns. You see Greek myths and navigation guides and scientific distances, same stars. Different meanings. That's the human story in miniature. Your modern brain, even hypothermic, is doing something the Neanderthals might not have done as readily. Abstract thinking about your own situation, metacognition about adaptation and evolution, philosophical understanding of what this experience means. Your cognitive abilities are showing themselves even as your physical abilities fail. This is your specialization expressing itself. They were stronger, tougher, better cold adapted. But you're more cognitively flexible, more capable of abstract thought, more able to imagine different perspectives and contexts. Your brain can simulate scenarios, theirs might not. You can think about thinking in ways that require cognitive architecture they might not have fully possessed. Feel your mind now, even in rest, capable of these abstract journeys. You can imagine ancient times while living in modern times. You can understand evolution while experiencing its results. You can be both subject and observer of your own experience. This cognitive flexibility is your evolutionary advantage, the thing that let your ancestors outlast the Neanderthals despite being physically inferior. The understanding is complete now. You die in 3 hours as a Neanderthal because you're not a Neanderthal. You're a modern human, and that's not failure, that's accurate classification. They die quickly in your world. You're dying slowly in theirs. Both truths can coexist. Both are valid. Neither diminishes the other. This lesson applies beyond Ice Age survival. You're not designed for every challenge. You're designed for specific challenges in a specific context. When you struggle with things outside your adaptation, that's not personal failure. That's environmental mismatch. The solution isn't to force yourself into shapes you weren't meant to hold. It's to recognize your actual shape and find context where that shape fits. Your breath is slowing, deepening, finding peace, even in crisis. Your body is starting to shut down, but your mind has found something
valuable. Understanding, acceptance, perspective. These
are the gifts your cognitive abilities provide, even when your physical abilities fail. The Neanderthals are settling into sleep now, secure and warm. You're settling into a different kind of surrender, but it's okay. This is imagination, not reality. You can release this scenario knowing you're awake in your actual world, where you're adapted and adequate and exactly right. Let the cold fade. Let the ancient world fade. Let the survival crisis fade. You've learned what you came to learn. The Neanderthals were magnificent, but so are you. Different magnificence, different challenges, different victories, but equally valid expressions of what it means to be human. Your breath matches ancient rhythms one final time in the Ice Age night, safe and warm in ancient wisdom.
understanding flooding through you.
The lesson complete, and now from this place of profound understanding, you can begin to learn what they knew that might actually help you in your modern life. Not survival skills you'll never need, but wisdom that translates across time. Because they knew things worth knowing, things your modern life sometimes forgets. Safe and warm in ancient wisdom, absorb what they knew about true rest. About sleep as something more than unconsciousness. About the rhythms that kept humans alive through millions of years of dangerous nights. Let the Ice Age scenario fade now. You're back in your own time, your own space, your own perfect safety. But you're carrying something valuable from that imagined journey. Humility about what the Neanderthals knew that we've forgotten. And one of the most important things they understood was sleep itself. Modern humans treat sleep as interruption, as downtime, as the annoying necessity that cuts into productive hours. You fight it with caffeine and artificial light. You minimize it with alarm clocks and schedule pressure. You view it as the enemy of accomplishment when actually it's the foundation of everything else. The Neanderthals understood sleep completely differently. They knew polyphasic sleep, multiple shorter cycles aligned with danger patterns and social cooperation needs. Their sleep wasn't 8 continuous hours of vulnerability. It was a rotating system where some people slept, while others maintained watch, where rest came in waves aligned with natural alertness rhythms rather than imposed schedules. Imagine their evening routine. As darkness fell, the group would gather near the fire. Some would eat, some would work on tools or hides, some would engage in early sleep, the first shift of rest. Others would maintain fire and watch, their alertness protecting the sleepers. Then, hours later, sleepers would wake naturally and take over watching duties while the watchers slept. This created a sleep pattern where no one was unconscious for 8 dangerous hours straight. Everyone got rest, but rest was woven into awareness. Sleep was lighter, more responsive, more connected to environmental reality. They never fully disconnected from their surroundings the way you do when you sink into deep modern sleep. Feel your own sleep patterns. You have the luxury of complete unconsciousness. You can turn off completely for hours because your environment is controlled enough that no watching is necessary.
Locks protect you.
Walls protect you.
Laws and social systems protect you.
You can surrender to sleep in ways they never could, and that's a profound gift. But you've also lost something they had. The natural rhythm of rest aligned with biological cycles rather than social demands. Your sleep is scheduled, compressed, often insufficient. You use alarms to force waking at times your body wouldn't naturally choose. You consume stimulants to override natural rest signals. You've become disconnected from the sleep wisdom your body inherently knows. The Neanderthals slept when they were tired, and their social group could spare them. They woke when they were rested or when duty called. They napped when opportunity allowed. Their sleep wasn't scheduled around work hours and social obligations. It was responsive to biological need and environmental circumstance. Let yourself sink deeper now, imagining what it would feel like to sleep according to your body's actual needs rather than external demands.
How would it feel to rest when you're tired?
To wake when you're naturally ready? To let sleep find its own rhythm rather than forcing it into predetermined shapes? They also knew something about sleep location and safety that modern humans have translated into unconscious preferences. The Neanderthals positioned themselves carefully for sleep, always with backs protected, always with clear sight lines to approaches, always within reach of weapons and fire. This wasn't paranoia. It was practical wisdom for vulnerable sleep states. You do the same thing without realizing it. You prefer sleeping with your back to a wall rather than exposed to open room. You position your bed so you can see the door. You want window coverings that prevent outside observation. These preferences are echoes of ancient sleep wisdom, unconscious knowledge that vulnerability during sleep requires strategic positioning. Feel your own sleep position right now. Notice how you've arranged yourself, how you've created security through positioning, even though rational analysis says you're perfectly safe regardless. Your unconscious mind still carries Neanderthal wisdom about sleep vulnerability, even though your conscious mind knows predators aren't a concern. They understood sleep sounds too. The Neanderthals would have been attuned to the sonic environment during sleep, able to distinguish between normal night sounds and threatening anomalies. Their sleep was never so deep that danger sounds didn't penetrate. They lived in continuous partial awareness even when resting. Modern sleep science calls this first stage sleep the lightest level of rest that maintains some environmental awareness. The Neanderthals probably spent more time in this stage than you do. They needed it for survival.
You've learned to sleep deeper because you can.
But sometimes people report sleeping with one eye open when they're anxious or in unfamiliar places.
That's ancient sleep wisdom activating. Your body knows how to do this.
It knows how to calibrate sleep depth to environmental safety. In your own secure space, it permits deep rest. In unfamiliar or threatening situations, it maintains more awareness. This isn't dysfunction. It's ancient wisdom still operating in your nervous system. Let yourself appreciate this. Your sleep system is sophisticated, responsive, wise. It's not just unconsciousness. It's a dynamic state that balances rest needs with safety requirements. When you have trouble sleeping in new places, that's not a problem to fix. That's ancient wisdom being cautious until your unconscious mind verifies safety. The Neanderthals also knew about sleep timing relative to light exposure. They had no artificial light except fire, which is much dimmer and redder than modern lighting. Their circadian rhythms were entrained to natural day-night cycles. They experienced true darkness, the kind that triggers deep melatonin production and genuine physiological nighttime states. Your light environment is completely different. Blue spectrum light from screens tells your brain it's daytime even at midnight. Bright artificial lighting extends your active period far beyond natural sunset. You've decoupled from the light-dark cycle that regulated sleep for millions of years. This gives you freedom and flexibility, but it costs you natural sleep drive. Feel your eyes now, resting in darkness or dim light. Notice how darkness feels safe and restful. How your body knows darkness means sleep time. How your breath naturally deepens when light levels drop. This is ancient wisdom still functioning. Your body wants to follow natural rhythms. Modern life makes that difficult, but the biological programming remains. They knew about sleep temperature too. The Neanderthals experienced significant temperature drops at night, which actually supports sleep. Core body temperature needs to drop for sleep initiation. They got this naturally through environmental cold. You need it too, which is why you sleep better in cool rooms than warm ones. Modern sleep science has rediscovered this. Optimal sleep temperature is cooler than optimal waking temperature. Your body needs to shed heat to sleep well. The Neanderthals knew this experientially. They banked their fires before sleep, allowing temperature drops that facilitated rest. You can apply this wisdom by keeping your bedroom cool, by allowing your body to seek warmth under covers, rather than maintaining constant ambient warmth. Let yourself feel whatever temperature surrounds you now. If you're slightly cool, your body wanting covers, that's perfect for sleep. Your body wants to burrow into warmth while ambient air stays cool. This temperature differential supports deep rest, just as it did for Neanderthals 40,000 years ago. Your breath matches ancient rhythms now, safe and warm in ancient wisdom.
Learning what they knew about rest.
Feeling connected across impossible time to humans who understood sleep as survival, as gift, as necessary peace in dangerous worlds. And they knew one more thing about sleep, something that might be most important for you tonight. They knew about sleep's relationship with food, with what you consume before rest, with how diet affects dreams and recovery and morning readiness. Time fades as ancient stories unfold. Discover what they ate for strength and rest, and what it might teach you about your own evening routines, your own preparation for sleep, your own relationship with the food that fuels both waking and dreaming. The Neanderthal diet was radically different from yours. Analysis of their bones, their teeth, their isotope signatures tells us they consumed massive amounts of meat, perhaps 80% of their total calories. They were hypercarnivores, apex predators eating primarily megafauna, mammoths when they could, woolly rhinoceros, giant elk, wild horses, bison, reindeer. These were protein-dense, fat-rich meals providing extraordinary caloric density. Their massive jaw muscles, visible in the pronounced bone attachments on their skulls, tell us they chewed tougher materials than modern humans typically process. They ate tendon, hide, cartilage, bone marrow. They extracted every possible calorie from kills because food security was never guaranteed. Their teeth show wear patterns indicating they even used their mouths as third hands, gripping materials while working. You couldn't eat their diet. Your jaw muscles aren't strong enough. Your digestive system isn't calibrated for such meat-heavy intake. Your smaller colon and different gut bacteria reflect a more varied diet. But there's something interesting about their eating patterns that relates to sleep. They probably ate heavily in evening after successful hunts, then slept during the long digestive process. Large meat meals require significant digestive energy. Blood flow redirects to the gut. The The body enters a post-meal state that naturally promotes rest. The Neanderthals would have experienced powerful food comas after successful hunting days, and they'd have used that natural drowsiness strategically, eating and then sleeping while their bodies processed nutrition and repaired tissue. Modern sleep science has complicated relationships with evening eating. You're told not to eat too close to bed, but ancestral humans often did exactly that. The difference might be what you eat. Heavy proteins and fats require long digestion that shouldn't interfere with sleep if your meal timing allows adequate processing time. But simple carbohydrates and sugars create blood sugar spikes and crashes that can disrupt sleep cycles. The Neanderthals had no refined sugars, no processed carbohydrates, no foods engineered for immediate gratification. Everything they ate required significant digestive work, which meant stable blood sugar, sustained energy release, and no midnight crashes. Their evening meals supported sleep rather than disrupting it. Feel your own body now, whatever you ate today, settling into your system. There's no judgment here about food choices, but notice how different foods affect your rest. Heavy modern meals might make you feel sluggish. Light ones might leave you hungry at night. Sugary ones might give you energy when you want calm. Your body is giving you feedback about what supports your rest, if you listen. The Neanderthals also knew about sleep plants, ethnobotanical knowledge passed down through countless generations. Archaeological evidence suggests they used medicinal plants deliberately. Pollen samples from Neanderthal graves include yarrow and chamomile ancestors, both plants with sedative properties. They knew which barks, roots, and leaves affected consciousness, promoted healing, or eased into sleep. They'd have chewed certain substances before rest. Some plants contain compounds that reduce anxiety, promote relaxation, or enhance dream states. The Neanderthals didn't have pharmaceutical sleep aids, but they had botanical ones, and they knew them intimately through experimentation and tradition. This was empirical medicine developed over hundreds of thousands of years through careful observation of plant effects. Modern science is rediscovering what they knew. Valerian root, passion flower, chamomile, lavender, all these traditional sleep herbs have measurable effects on neurotransmitter systems. Your ancestors weren't superstitious. They were observant. They noticed that certain plants affected consciousness and sleep, and they used that knowledge practically. You have access to these same plants, though you probably use them rarely or unconsciously. Chamomile tea before bed is a modern echo of ancient wisdom. Lavender scent in bedrooms is traditional knowledge in commercial form. You're following patterns established by people who knew these plants as survival tools rather than luxury wellness items. Let yourself appreciate this continuity. The plants that helped ancient humans sleep still help you sleep. The biological mechanisms haven't changed. Your nervous system responds to these compounds the same way Neanderthal nervous systems did. You're connected across time through shared biology, through plants that bridge millennia. The Neanderthals also understood something about sleep and community eating. They ate together at day's end, sharing food around fires in social rituals that strengthened group bonds. This communal eating served multiple purposes. It distributed resources fairly, it reinforced social hierarchies, it created opportunities for teaching and storytelling, and it synchronized the group's digestive and sleep cycles. When everyone eats together, everyone enters the post-meal drowsy state together. This natural synchronization meant the group could transition to sleep as a unit, maintaining social cohesion even through unconscious hours. Some would sleep while others watched, but the rhythm was shared, collective, coordinated. Your modern eating patterns are often individualized, scattered across schedules, eaten alone or in shifting combinations of people. You've lost the synchronizing effect of communal evening meals. But you might notice that when you do eat with family or friends in evening, when you share that ritual, sleep comes more easily afterward. The social bonding creates psychological safety that supports rest. Feel your own social connections now, even if they're not physically present. The people who make you feel safe, who support your life, who would help if you needed them. The Neanderthals built survival on tight social bonds. You build thriving on wider but sometimes shallower networks. Both patterns are valid.
Both are human. They knew about hunger and sleep too.
A Neanderthal going to bed hungry was a Neanderthal in danger. Hunger activates alertness systems, keeps you vigilant for food opportunities, prevents deep rest. They needed to eat adequately before sleep for both caloric and psychological reasons. An empty stomach meant potential crisis. A full stomach meant security, resource success, permission to rest. You might experience this too. If you go to bed very hungry, sleep is lighter, more restless, less restorative. Your body knows hunger as a mild alarm signal. Not dangerous in your modern context, but uncomfortable enough to prevent full relaxation. The wisdom is to eat adequately, neither too much nor too little, giving your body the security it needs to release into deep rest. Let yourself check in with your body now.
Are you comfortable? Fed enough?
Neither too full nor too empty. Your body knows what it needs. The Neanderthals listened to body signals because ignoring them was lethal. You can listen too, even though the stakes are lower. Body wisdom is still wisdom. The most important thing about Neanderthal diet and sleep isn't the specific foods. It's the alignment between eating patterns and rest patterns. They ate when food was available and rested during digestion. They synchronized group eating with group sleep preparation. They used plant medicines consciously for sleep support. They understood food as fuel for both waking and resting states. Your modern life makes this alignment harder. You eat by the clock rather than by hunger or food availability. You often eat foods designed for stimulation rather than nourishment. You disconnect eating from sleep preparation, sometimes eating late in ways that disrupt rest. But you can reclaim some of this ancient wisdom. You can eat earlier in the evening, allowing digestion time before bed. You can choose foods that support stable blood sugar rather than spiking it. You can use traditional sleep herbs consciously. You can make evening eating a calm social ritual rather than a rushed necessity. You can listen to your body's feedback about what foods support or hinder your rest. These aren't rules. They're invitations to reconnect with wisdom your body already knows. The Neanderthals didn't have to think about this. Their lives naturally aligned eating and sleeping. Your life requires more consciousness and intention, but the biological patterns are the same. Your body still responds to food and sleep the way Neanderthal bodies did. Your breath matches ancient rhythms now, safe and warm in ancient wisdom, fed and secure.
Ready for rest.
Connected to the long line of humans who ate and slept and survived so you could be here now. The Neanderthals are fading into the past now, but their wisdom stays with you. Not because you need to eat like them or live like them, but because understanding them helps you understand yourself. Your body carries echoes of their knowledge. Your nervous system remembers patterns older than consciousness. And as you drift deeper into rest tonight, you carry their blessing forward. The blessing of adequate food, of safe shelter, of community connection, of rest earned and rest received. Feel yourself drifting now. Ancient wisdom supporting modern rest. Ice Age knowledge translated into contemporary comfort. You are fed. You are safe. You are ready to sleep. The Neanderthals knew this feeling 40,000 years ago, and you know it now. Across impossible time, the peace of evening rest connects all humans who ever lived. Let the food wisdom settle into your body. Let the plant knowledge become part of your evening routine. Let the communal eating patterns inform your social rituals.
You don't have to change everything.
Just notice. Just appreciate. Just recognize that your body knows ancient things your mind has forgotten, and sleep is when that body wisdom rises to guide you into rest and dreams and morning renewal. Your breath deepens.
Ancient rhythms pulse through modern veins.
The Neanderthals sleep in your DNA, in your instincts, in the body wisdom that needs no words or thoughts. And as you join them in rest, you honor their survival, their knowledge, their gift of life that flows forward through generations into you, into this moment, into this peaceful surrender to sleep.
As they drifted to sleep, so do you, connected to ancient human family,
feeling the invisible threads that link you across time to people who understood belonging in ways modern life sometimes forgets. The Neanderthal groups were small, intimate, completely known. 15 to 30 individuals, every single one memorized in detail. Every face familiar since birth or careful integration. Every voice recognized instantly. Every movement pattern understood through years of observation. This wasn't just community. This was total immersion in a social world where anonymity was impossible and isolation was death. Imagine knowing every person in your survival group completely. Their moods, their skills, their fears, their strengths. Imagine being known equally completely by them.
No hiding, no privacy as you understand it. No anonymous moments.
Every action observed, every emotion visible. Every struggle and triumph shared because the group was too small for secrets, and survival was too precarious for isolation. This creates a kind of belonging modern humans rarely experience. You might have close family or intimate friends, but you also have vast circles of acquaintances, strangers, people you'll never know. Your social world is layered with different levels of intimacy and obligation. The Neanderthals had no layers.
Everyone was essential.
Everyone was known. Everyone belonged completely or didn't belong at all. Feel your own connections now, the people who know you well. Maybe a handful, maybe more. These are your intimate circle, your chosen family, your deep bonds. The Neanderthals had no choice in this. Their group was their world, assigned by birth, maintained by necessity. But the depth of knowing was profound in ways your wider social network rarely achieves. They experienced no loneliness as you understand it. Loneliness requires the possibility of isolation, the experience of being unknown or unseen. In Neanderthal groups, you were always seen,
Always known. Always accounted for.
The problem wasn't invisibility, it was the opposite. Constant visibility, constant accountability, constant social pressure with no escape. Modern loneliness is the ache of being alone in crowds, unknown despite proximity, isolated despite connection. You can feel lonely in cities of millions because quantity doesn't equal quality. The Neanderthals never had that experience. Their loneliness, when it existed, was probably about social conflict, about belonging to a group but being in tension with it. Different pain, different challenge. Let yourself appreciate both the gift and the burden of your social freedom. You can be alone when you choose. You can be anonymous when you need. You can select your intimacy rather than having it assigned by survival necessity. This freedom would have been incomprehensible to them, and sometimes it's overwhelming to you. Both truths are valid. Their evening rituals were deeply social. After eating, the group would gather close to the fire, not for formal activities necessarily, but for presence, for being together, for the comfort of familiar bodies in familiar proximity. They might have made sounds together, proto-music or proto-language, that created group cohesion through shared rhythm and tone. Touch was probably constant and casual. Grooming, sitting close, physical contact that reinforced bond and belonging. Modern humans in close relationships still do this instinctively. When you feel safe with someone, you seek proximity, touch, physical connection. This is ancient wiring, Neanderthal inheritance expressing itself through your nervous system. Feel your own body now in whatever position of comfort you've created. If you're alone, notice how you've arranged yourself for security. If you're with someone, notice how proximity affects your relaxation. Your body knows ancient things about social closeness and safety. Sleep comes easier when you feel connected, even if that connection is remembered rather than present. The Neanderthals couldn't survive alone. An individual separated from the group for more than a few days would die from the accumulated challenges no single person could manage. Constant fire maintenance, food acquisition, predator awareness all required cooperation. Survival was collected by necessity, which created bonds deeper than modern friendship because they were literally life-sustaining. Your independence would have seemed like insane vulnerability to them. You can survive alone for extended periods. You can meet your needs through systems and technologies that don't require intimate human cooperation. You can be anonymous, isolated, disconnected, and still thrive physically. This is unprecedented in human history, and it's both liberation and loss. The liberation is obvious. You're not trapped in assigned groups. You can leave bad situations. You can choose your connections. You can create space when you need it. The Neanderthals had none of these options. Born into a group meant staying with that group or dying. Modern mobility and independence are precious gifts. The loss is subtler. You've lost the deep security of being completely known and knowing completely. You've lost the comfort of assigned belonging where your place is never questioned. You've lost the intimacy of small group living where everyone is essential and everyone knows it. These losses create the particular aches of modern life. The loneliness in crowds, the hunger for deeper connection, the feeling that relationships are always optional and therefore uncertain. Let yourself feel both sides of this trade. You have freedom they never knew and loneliness they never experienced. Both are parts of being human in your time, in your context.
Neither is wrong.
Both are simply what is, and acceptance brings more peace than judgment. The Neanderthals are settling into sleep now in your imagination. Some sleep while others watch. Bodies close together for warmth and security. The fire burns low but steady. The night surrounds them with dangers they understand and respond to collectively. They rest in earned exhaustion in social security in the deep, knowing that they belong completely to this group and this group belongs to them. You rest in different security. You rest in chosen solitude or chosen company. You rest in spaces you've created or selected. You rest in independence they couldn't imagine. And both kinds of rest are valid, both are human. Both honor the long story of human survival that includes both their way and yours. Feel yourself sinking deeper now, held by whatever form of belonging you've created in your life.
Maybe it's intimate partnership.
Maybe it's family bonds. Maybe it's friendship or community or even the belonging of being part of humanity itself. Connected to billions of other humans sleeping right now across the world, all of you resting together in the shared human experience of night and peace and surrender to sleep. The Neanderthals give you permission to rest in your own way, to belong in your own form, to find security in modern connections rather than ancient ones. Their blessing extends across time. Rest well, belong truly, connect deeply in whatever ways your world allows. You don't need their social structure. You need your own, authentic to your life and context. Your breath matches ancient rhythms, safe and warm in ancient wisdom. Belonging to yourself, belonging to your chosen others, belonging to the long human story that includes both them and you. Connected across impossible time by the shared need for rest and connection and peace. And they knew something else about being human together. Something about passing knowledge and wisdom from one generation to the next. Not through language alone, but through something deeper. Something your body still remembers, even when your mind forgets. Feel your breath matching ancient rhythms, your cells carrying their memories, your DNA holding stories older than words, older than conscious thought, older than any language you could speak. Here's something remarkable that genetic science has discovered in recent decades. If you have ancestry outside Africa, you carry Neanderthal DNA, not a lot, typically 1 to 4% of your total genetic material, but it's there. Actual Neanderthal genes functioning in your body right now, affecting your health and appearance and function in measurable ways. This means the Neanderthals didn't simply vanish. They merged. They interbred with modern humans during the thousands of years both groups coexisted. Their genes entered the modern human gene pool and persist today in billions of people. You might be carrying fragments of the same genetic code that helped them survive Ice Age Europe for 400,000 years. Some of those genes affect your immune system. Neanderthal DNA variants are associated with enhanced responses to certain pathogens, particularly viruses. They encountered diseases in Ice Age Europe that your African origin ancestors never faced. They developed immune adaptations through brutal natural selection, and when they interbred with modern humans, those adaptations transferred. You might be alive today because Neanderthal genes helped your ancestors survive plagues. The Black Death, smallpox epidemics, flu pandemics, all these historical disease events selected for certain immune variants, and some of those protective variants came from Neanderthals. Their gift of survival echoes forward through time into your living body. Feel your immune system now working quietly and constantly to protect you. You probably never think about it unless something goes wrong. But it's there, sophisticated and powerful, carrying wisdom from multiple human lineages. Some of that wisdom is Neanderthal wisdom, ancient adaptations still serving you today. Other Neanderthal genes affect your skin and hair. They carry variants for lighter skin pigmentation, adaptations to lower UV environments in northern latitudes. They have genes affecting hair texture and color. If you have European ancestry, your physical appearance is partly shaped by Neanderthal contributions made tens of thousands of years ago. Your body is a living archive of human history. Neanderthal genes layer with modern human genes, creating combinations that didn't exist in either population alone. You're not just descended from modern humans who replaced Neanderthals. You're descended from humans who absorbed Neanderthals, who carried their genes forward, who became something neither group was separately. Let yourself appreciate this biological truth. You're not looking back at extinct strangers. You're looking back at distant relatives, genetic contributors, ancestors in the most literal sense. Their survival enabled yours. Their adaptations serve you. Their DNA persists in your cells, functioning, affecting your life in subtle but real ways. Some Neanderthal genes affect your sleep patterns. Variants associated with being morning or evening chronotypes, with sleep duration preferences, with responses to sleep disruption. The way you sleep might partly reflect Neanderthal inheritance, adaptations to Ice Age conditions still expressing themselves in your modern bedroom. Other genes affect pain tolerance. Neanderthal variants are associated with slightly different pain sensitivity, possibly reflecting their need to function through injuries that would have stopped modern humans. You might carry genes that make you slightly tougher or slightly more sensitive to pain, and those genes might have Neanderthal origin. Feel your body now, this remarkable biological system carrying so much history.
You're not separate from the past.
You're continuous with it. The Neanderthals aren't gone. They're transformed, their DNA woven into modern populations, their adaptations still functioning in living people. This creates a different relationship with them than simple historical interest. They're not just something to study, they're part of you, literally, molecularly, functionally. When you look at Neanderthal reconstructions, you're looking at genetic relatives. When you learn about their lives, you're learning about your own deep ancestry. The genes that helped them survive cold might help you regulate body temperature. The genes that supported their powerful muscles might affect your muscle development. The genes that shaped their immune responses might be fighting infections in your body right now. You are, in small but meaningful ways, still benefiting from their 400,000 years of Ice Age adaptation. Let this settle into your awareness. You're not just a modern human looking back at ancient relatives. You're a hybrid, a fusion, a living continuation of multiple human lineages. The Neanderthals contributed to your existence. Their survival ensured that certain genes would persist into modernity. Their struggles and adaptations and evolutionary solutions are still present in the world through you. This is true for billions of people. Most humans of European, Asian, and Oceanic ancestry carry Neanderthal DNA. African populations generally have less or none because the interbreeding happened outside Africa. But globally, Neanderthal genes persist in enormous numbers of people, making them one of the most successful human lineages in terms of genetic legacy. Your breath deepens now, ancient DNA expressing itself through your respiratory system. Your heart beats with genes shaped by Ice Age selection. Your brain functions through networks that include genetic contributions from multiple human species. You are not simple. You are complex, hybrid, enriched by genetic diversity spanning hundreds of thousands of years. The Neanderthals also left you something else beyond genes. They left you behaviors, not genetically encoded necessarily, but passed through culture so long they became instinctive. The way you seek shelter, the way you assess safety, the way you gather around fires or their modern equivalents. These behaviors are so old they feel natural, and some of them probably originated with or were shared with Neanderthals. When you feel safest with your back protected, that might be Neanderthal wisdom. When you're drawn to firelight or its modern equivalents, that might be ancient programming. When you seek small, enclosed sleeping spaces rather than open, exposed ones, you might be following preferences shaped by hundreds of thousands of years of human evolution, including Neanderthal contributions. Feel your preferences now, your instincts about safety and comfort and shelter. They're not arbitrary. They're shaped by deep history, by ancestral experiences, by the accumulated wisdom of countless generations who survived long enough to pass genes and behaviors forward to you. The most important thing about carrying Neanderthal DNA isn't the specific genes or traits. It's the humility of recognizing you're part of a larger story. You're not the culmination of evolution. You're one moment in an ongoing process. You carry forward not just your parents' genes, but ancient lineages stretching back through time. You're a vessel of deep history, and that's profound whether you think about it or not. Let yourself drift deeper into this understanding. You're connected to vast time through your very cells. The Neanderthals survive in you. Their adaptations serve you. Their DNA persists through you into whatever future emerges. You're not separate from ancient humans. You're continuous with them, carrying their legacy in the most literal way possible. Your body knows things your mind is just learning. Your immune system remembers Ice Age diseases. Your skin remembers northern light levels. Your sleep patterns remember ancient rhythms. You are, in small but real ways, still Neanderthal, still carrying their gifts, still benefiting from their 250,000 years of survival mastery. Rest now in this genetic belonging, your family to ancient humans across impossible time. Your DNA testifies to their existence, their struggles, their ultimate survival through merger rather than extinction. The Neanderthals are sleeping in your cells, their genes resting in your genome, their adaptations protecting and serving you even now. Your breath matches ancient rhythms, safe and warm in ancient wisdom, genetically connected, cellularly continuous, part of the long, beautiful story of human survival and adaptation and ultimate thriving. The Neanderthals bless you from within your own DNA, from the genes that pulse through your body, from the adaptations that still serve your life. And despite all these gifts, despite their incredible adaptations and survival mastery, they eventually faded from the world as a distinct people. Understanding why they disappeared helps you understand the nature of survival itself, of adaptation's double edge, of specialization's ultimate cost. Safe and warm in ancient wisdom, explore the gentle mystery of endings, the poignant truth that even perfect adaptation has limits, that survival itself is temporary, that all things change and pass and transform into what comes next. The Neanderthals didn't die out in some dramatic catastrophe. No asteroid strike, no plague, no volcanic winter ended them suddenly. They faded gradually over thousands of years, their population shrinking, their range contracting, their presence in the archaeological record becoming sparser and sparser until around 40,000 years ago, they disappear entirely. This gradual disappearance is more haunting than sudden extinction would be. It suggests they knew in some sense that their time was ending, that each generation might have noticed fewer children surviving, fewer groups encountered, more territory empty of their people. They experienced decline not as catastrophe, but as slow diminishment, which carries its own particular sadness. The reasons for their disappearance are complex and probably multiple. Climate change was certainly a factor. Around 50,000 years ago, conditions began shifting in ways that affected the megafauna they specialized in hunting. Mammoths, woolly rhinos, giant elk, all these enormous prey animals began declining in some regions. The Neanderthals were hypercarnivores adapted to hunting large game. When that game became scarce, their highly specialized diet became a vulnerability. Modern humans moving into Europe during this same period had more flexible diets. They could hunt smaller game efficiently. They could exploit fish and shellfish. They could survive on plant foods during lean times. Their generalist strategy was less efficient in resource-rich environments, but more resilient in resource-poor ones. As conditions changed, flexibility became more valuable than specialization. Feel your own flexibility now, your ability to adapt to changing circumstances. You can eat varied diets. You can live in different climates. You can learn new skills and adjust to new situations. This flexibility is your evolutionary inheritance, the strategy that outlasted Neanderthal specialization. Not better in absolute terms, but better adapted to a changing world. The Neanderthals also had smaller population sizes than modern humans. Small populations are vulnerable to chance events, disease outbreaks, local climate disasters, random fluctuations in birth rates. Modern humans with larger total populations spread across wider territories could absorb losses that might devastate smaller groups. The Neanderthals' small numbers, once adequate, became a weakness as conditions destabilized. There was also probably competition with modern humans, though not necessarily violent competition. Two human species exploiting similar resources in the same territories creates pressure. Modern humans had more sophisticated tools, more complex social organization, possibly more efficient hunting strategies. They could extract resources from environments more effectively, leaving less for Neanderthals. Imagine the last Neanderthal groups, still capable and adapted, but watching their world fill with these different humans. Similar enough to be recognized as human, different enough to be strange, more numerous, more technologically advanced, more flexible. The Neanderthals weren't defeated. They were outcompeted gradually, relentlessly, over thousands of years. Let yourself feel the poignancy of this. They weren't inferior. They were Ice Age specialists facing a warming world. They weren't weak. They were adapted to conditions that were changing. They weren't failures. They were victims of environmental shifts beyond anyone's control. Their disappearance teaches that perfect adaptation to one environment becomes maladaptation when that environment transforms. Some Neanderthals merged with modern humans through interbreeding. This is why you carry their genes, but most disappeared as distinct individuals and groups. The archaeological record shows their final refuges contracting to southern Europe, Spain, Italy, the Balkans. They retreated to warmer regions as their northern territories became untenable. Then even those southern refugees eventually became impossible. The last Neanderthals probably lived in small, isolated groups, perhaps not even knowing if other Neanderthal groups still existed. They maintained their ways, their knowledge, their adaptations. But they were echoes of what had been, remnants of a once successful human species facing inevitable ending. This isn't unique to Neanderthals.
Most species that have ever existed are extinct.
Most human populations that have ever lived have vanished or transformed into something else. Impermanence is the nature of biological existence. The remarkable thing isn't that Neanderthals disappeared, it's that they survived successfully for 400,000 years before disappearing. Feel your own temporary existence, your own brief moment in the vast sweep of time. You're here now, alive and conscious and experiencing this moment. But you too are temporary, as all individuals are, as all populations eventually are.
This isn't depressing.
It's the nature of existence, and accepting it brings peace. The Neanderthals' disappearance also teaches about over-specialization. They were so perfectly adapted to Ice Age conditions that they couldn't adapt quickly enough when those conditions changed. Their bodies, their behaviors, their whole survival strategy was optimized for one specific environment. When that environment transformed, they couldn't transform with it fast enough. Modern humans were less specialized and therefore more adaptable. Your body can function in extreme cold and extreme heat, though not as well as specialists adapted to either. Your diet can include almost anything, though you're not optimized for any specific food type. Your behavior is flexible, learnable, adjustable. You trade peak performance for broad functionality, and in a changing world, that trade pays off. Let yourself appreciate your own flexibility without taking it for granted. You can learn new things. You can adapt to changing circumstances. You can survive in conditions your ancestors never faced. This cognitive and behavioral flexibility is your superpower, the thing that makes modern humans so successful across such varied environments. The last Neanderthal probably didn't know they were the last. They probably died like any Neanderthal died, from injury or illness or predation or cold, surrounded perhaps by a small group of others, or perhaps alone. No dramatic ending.
No awareness of species extinction.
Just an individual death that happened to be the final one of a lineage. There's something both sad and comforting about this. Sad because the ending came without ceremony or recognition. Comforting because it means they didn't suffer the existential anguish of knowing they were the last. They lived as Neanderthals always lived, then died as Neanderthals always died, and only hindsight reveals the finality of that last death. Your breath slows now, ancient sorrow and ancient peace mingling. The Neanderthals are gone as distinct people but persist as genetic legacy, as archaeological presence, as part of human story. They ended. An ending is always poignant, but they also transformed and continue through the genes and behaviors they contributed to modern populations. You carry them forward, not just genetically but in consciousness. By learning about them, thinking about them, honoring their existence, you give them continued presence in the world. They survive as memory, as knowledge, as understood part of human history. This is a kind of immortality, not physical persistence, but persistence in awareness and understanding. Let yourself drift deeper, releasing attachment to permanence.
Everything changes.
Everything ends. Everything transforms into what comes next. The Neanderthals accepted this without philosophy. They lived until they didn't. They adapted until conditions made adaptation impossible. They survived until survival ceased. And in their ending, they left gifts that persist beyond their physical presence. Rest now in the acceptance of change and ending and transformation. Your own life is temporary. Your own adaptations are specific to your moment in time. Your own existence will transform into whatever comes next. This is natural.
This is right.
This is the way of all living things, and accepting it brings more peace than resisting it. The Neanderthals are sleeping now in eternal rest, but they left you gifts before they vanished. Gifts of DNA, gifts of knowledge, gifts of example. And the greatest gift might be the lesson their ending teaches. Adapt to your moment, live fully in your time, and accept that all things change, and that change is not failure, but transformation. Time fades as ancient stories unfold. Receive the inheritance they left, the treasures that survived their physical ending, the gifts that make them immortal despite death. The Neanderthals were the first humans,
as far as we know, to bury their dead with ritual.
Archaeological sites across Europe and the Middle East show deliberate graves, bodies positioned carefully, sometimes with grave goods, sometimes with flowers. Pollen analysis from a site in Iraq revealed that a Neanderthal burial included yarrow, cornflowers, and hollyhocks, plants deliberately placed with the dead. This tells us something profound. They understood death as significant. They recognized that dead group members deserved care and ceremony. They had concepts of ritual, meaning perhaps even afterlife or continued existence in some form. This is consciousness at a deep level, awareness of mortality and the need to mark it with ceremony. Feel your own awareness of death, your own understanding that life is finite and meaningful, partly because it ends. This awareness creates the need for ritual, for marking passages, for honoring transitions. The Neanderthals felt this 60,000 years ago or more. Your consciousness of mortality stretches back through them to even earlier ancestors. It's one of the defining features of being human. They also cared for their injured and elderly. Fossil remains show Neanderthals who survived for years with severe injuries that would have made them unable to hunt or contribute economically. A famous skull from Iraq shows a man who lived to perhaps 40 years old despite being blind, having a withered arm, and other disabilities. He survived only because others cared for him, fed him, protected him. This is compassion expressed through action. The Neanderthals weren't just strong and tough. They were caring and cooperative. They kept alive members who couldn't contribute to survival in practical ways. They valued individuals beyond their economic utility. This is profoundly human, and it's at least 60,000 years old. Let yourself feel connected to this ancient compassion. When you care for others, when you help without expectation of return, when you value people beyond their usefulness, you're expressing something the Neanderthals knew. Your capacity for compassion isn't uniquely modern. It's ancient, shared with extinct human species, part of being human at the deepest level. The Neanderthals created art, not as extensively as modern humans did, but it existed. Cave paintings in Spain dated to Neanderthal occupation. Carved objects, engraved bones, shell jewelry with traces of ochre pigment. They created things of beauty or meaning beyond pure utility. They had aesthetic sense, symbolic thought, the desire to make marks that expressed something internal. This is consciousness at another level. The ability to represent, to symbolize, to create meaning through forms. You do this constantly, probably without thinking about it. You choose clothes not just for warmth, but for expression. You decorate spaces to reflect identity. You create and consume art for emotional and intellectual satisfaction. The Neanderthals did this too, in simpler forms perhaps, but the core impulse is the same. Feel your own aesthetic sense, your own appreciation for beauty and meaning. This isn't trivial or superficial. It's deeply human, connecting you to ancient ancestors who also needed more than mere survival. They needed meaning, beauty, expression. This hunger for something beyond physical existence is part of what makes consciousness valuable and precious. They also had sophisticated tool-making abilities. The Mousterian tool culture associated with Neanderthals shows complex manufacturing techniques, careful stone selection, prepared core methods, standardized tool forms produced through practiced skill. They passed down knowledge about tool-making across generations, creating traditions that lasted tens of thousands of years. This is culture, learned information passed socially rather than genetically. The Neanderthals had culture 300,000 years ago. They taught their children how to make tools, where to find resources, how to hunt and survive. Each generation learned from the previous one, creating continuity of knowledge that transcended individual lives. This is profoundly human, and it extends back through time much further than modern humans have existed. Let yourself appreciate your own cultural inheritance. Everything you know, you learn from others. Language, skills, knowledge, values, all passed to you through social learning. The Neanderthals did this too. Your capacity for culture stretches back through them to even earlier human ancestors. You're part of a chain of teaching and learning that extends back millions of years. They knew about medicinal plants. Analysis of Neanderthal teeth shows they consumed plants with medicinal properties but little nutritional value. They deliberately used yarrow and chamomile, both plants with pain-relieving and anti-inflammatory effects. This is empirical medicine, knowledge about which plants affect which conditions, passed down through observation and experimentation. Your modern medicine is vastly more sophisticated, but it rests on the same foundation, empirical observation of what works. The Neanderthals were doing science in a practical sense 50,000 years ago. They experimented, observed results, retained useful knowledge, and passed it forward. This is how knowledge builds. Through careful attention to cause and effect, through testing and learning, through social transmission of useful information. Feel your own relationship with medicine and healing. You trust treatments based on empirical evidence. You use substances because they work, because repeated observation shows benefit. The Neanderthals operated on the same principle. Your scientific thinking has ancient roots, stretching back through countless generations of humans who observed, learned, and applied knowledge practically. The Neanderthals also left you the gift of humility. Their existence proves that being human doesn't mean being modern human. They were conscious, intelligent, caring, creative, and still they disappeared. This teaches that consciousness doesn't guarantee survival. Intelligence doesn't prevent extinction. Being human, in all its depth and complexity, is still vulnerable to circumstances beyond individual or even species control. Let this truth settle gently. You're not guaranteed anything by your consciousness or intelligence. You're magnificent and temporary, profound and vulnerable, significant and small. The Neanderthals were all these things too. Understanding them helps you understand yourself. Amazing and limited, powerful and fragile, meaningful and temporary. Their greatest gift might be perspective. Before Neanderthals were studied seriously, humans could imagine themselves as unique, special, the only thinking beings who ever existed. Now you know better. Consciousness is older than modern humans. Culture is older than your species. Compassion, art, ritual, medicine, all these things you might have thought made you special were shared with extinct human species. This doesn't diminish you, it enriches you. You're part of something larger than one species. You're part of a broader human story that includes multiple human types, all conscious, all cultural, all trying to survive and find meaning in their existence. The Neanderthals are your relatives in this broader sense, fellow humans in the family of conscious cultural beings. Your breath deepens now, ancient gifts settling into your awareness. The Neanderthals gave you genes, knowledge, perspective, humility. They gave you proof that being human is diverse and ancient and bigger than any single species. They gave you the blessing of knowing you're part of something vast and old and profound. Rest in this inheritance. You're wealthy beyond measure with gifts from the past. The Neanderthals sacrificed nothing deliberately, but their existence and disappearance enriches your understanding. Their lives and deaths teach lessons still relevant. Their struggles and adaptations inform your choices. They're present through their gifts, even though they're absent as living people. Let yourself drift deeper into gratitude for this inheritance. Thank the Neanderthals for surviving long enough to contribute to your gene pool. Thank them for creating culture that proves humans have been conscious and caring for hundreds of thousands of years. Thank them for their example of both adaptation and vulnerability, of both success and eventual transformation. The gifts are received, the lessons are learned, the inheritance is acknowledged, and now from their gifts, you can extract wisdom for your own life, for your own challenges, for your own survival in a world as different from theirs as theirs was from their ancestors. As they drifted to sleep, so do you, absorbing profound truth, understanding that your 3-hour failure in their world teaches more than any success could, that weakness in one context is strength in another, that you are exactly right for your world even as you'd be exactly wrong for theirs. You die in 3 hours as a Neanderthal, not because you're weak, inadequate, or failed. You die because you're adapted for different survival challenges. Your body, your mind, your instincts, all optimized for the world you actually inhabit, rather than the ice age you imagine visiting. This isn't failure. This is accurate specialization. Think about what saved modern humans when Neanderthals disappeared. Not stronger bodies, but more flexible minds. Not better cold adaptation, but ability to exploit more varied food sources. Not more powerful muscles, but more sophisticated tools and social organization. Modern humans survived and spread because they could adapt to changing conditions, not because they were perfectly adapted to any one condition. You inherit this flexibility. Your brain is plastic, capable of learning throughout life in ways Neanderthal brains might not have matched. Your behavior is malleable, shaped more by culture than instinct, changeable across single generations. Your survival strategy is cooperation and innovation rather than individual physical prowess. These are profound advantages in unstable, changing environments. Feel your own adaptability now. Think about how much you've learned since childhood, how many skills you've acquired, how many situations you've adjusted to, how many changes you've navigated. The Neanderthals were masters of their specific environment. You're adequate in many environments, and that adequacy across contexts beats mastery in one context when contexts keep changing. Your weakness in Ice Age Europe is actually strength redistributed. The physical power you lack was traded for cognitive flexibility. The cold tolerance you don't have was exchanged for heat tolerance and ability to live in varied climates. The instinctive survival skills you're missing were replaced with capacity to learn and innovate and problem-solve abstractly. Every adaptation is a trade-off. The Neanderthals traded flexibility for specialization and won for 400,000 years until environmental change made specialization fatal. Modern humans traded peak performance for broad competence and won in a changing world. Neither strategy is absolutely better. Each is better in specific contexts. Let yourself release any shame about weaknesses or inadequacies. You're not designed to excel at everything. You're designed to do well enough at many things and to be able to learn new things as needed. This is your evolutionary strategy. Adequate generalist with learning capacity rather than peak specialist with fixed skills. The 3-hour survival challenge also teaches about knowledge versus skill. You know many things the Neanderthals never knew: chemistry, astronomy, history, mathematics. You understand principles they couldn't have conceived. But knowledge doesn't directly translate to survival any more than survival skills directly translate to modern thriving. You'd die in the Ice Age despite knowing more about the universe than they did because knowledge isn't enough without applicable skills. They'd fail in your world despite superior physical abilities because physical prowess isn't enough without abstract thinking and social cooperation abilities. Different worlds require different competencies, and you're competent for your actual world. Feel this truth deeply. Your value isn't measured by how well you do in ancient conditions. It's measured by how well you do in actual conditions, and actual conditions require modern competencies.
You're not failed Neanderthal.
You're successful modern human, and that success is real even though it wouldn't translate to Ice Age Europe. The lesson extends beyond survival scenarios. You face this same dynamic constantly in modern life. You have strengths and weaknesses, abilities and limitations. You excel in some contexts and struggle in others. This doesn't make you inadequate overall. It makes you specifically adapted to specific circumstances. When you struggle with challenges outside your natural strengths, that's not personal failure.
That's context mismatch.
The solution isn't to force yourself to excel everywhere. It's to recognize your actual strengths, operate in contexts that suit them, and accept that no one is universally competent. Let yourself drift deeper into this acceptance. You don't have to be good at everything. You don't have to meet every standard or excel in every domain. You can be specifically good at specific things and specifically weak at other things and still be entirely adequate as a human being. The Neanderthals were adequate for their world. You're adequate for yours. That's all adequacy means, sufficient for actual circumstances. Your modern challenges require modern strengths. Abstract thinking for complex problem solving, emotional intelligence for navigating social systems, technological literacy for using tools that extend capabilities, cooperation skills for collective achievement. These are your adaptations, your specializations, your evolutionary advantages. They wouldn't help in the Ice Age, but you don't live in the Ice Age. The Neanderthals couldn't do what you do. They couldn't maintain focus on abstract tasks for hours. They couldn't navigate bureaucratic systems. They couldn't operate complex technology. They couldn't cooperate in groups of thousands or millions. Put them in your world with your challenges, and they'd fail as completely as you failed in theirs. Different failures, different contexts. Equal validity. Feel the relief of this perspective. You're not inadequate. You're contextually adapted. Your struggles aren't personal failures. They're natural limitations of any specialized organism facing challenges outside its specialization. When you have trouble with things that don't match your strengths, you're experiencing the same dynamic that would have killed you in 3 hours as a Neanderthal. Context mismatch, not personal inadequacy. The wisdom is to know your context, understand your adaptations, and operate where your strengths apply. You can't change your fundamental nature any more than you could change your body to Neanderthal form. But you can recognize what you're actually good at and build a life that plays to those strengths rather than forcing yourself into shapes that don't fit. This doesn't mean giving up when things are hard. It means understanding which hard things are worth pursuing because they align with your capacities, and which hard things are perpetual struggles because they fundamentally mismatch your nature. The Neanderthals couldn't adapt fast enough to climate change. You can't adapt fast enough to become someone completely different from who you are. Both limitations are real and worth accepting. Let yourself rest in this acceptance now. You are who you are, specifically adapted, contextually strong, naturally limited in predictable ways.
This isn't tragedy. This is reality.
The Neanderthals accepted their nature without philosophy and lived successfully for 400,000 years. You can accept your nature with philosophy and live successfully in your own time span. The 3-hour failure teaches that success is contextual, not absolute. Strength in one environment is weakness in another. Your modern strengths would be Ice Age weaknesses. Ice Age strengths would be modern weaknesses. Neither set of traits is inherently better. Both are right for their specific circumstances. Your breath slows now, deep acceptance settling through you. You're exactly right for your world. Not perfect, not unlimited, not universally capable, but right for your context, adequate for your challenges, well adapted to your actual life rather than imagined alternatives.
This is enough. This is actually everything.
This is peace. The Neanderthals rest in their ancient peace, perfectly adapted to a vanished world, no longer troubled by change or challenge or the need to be anything other than memory and legacy. You rest in modern peace, adequately adapted to an existing world, released from the need to be anything other than yourself in your actual circumstances. The lesson is complete. The failure teaches success. The weakness reveals strength. The Ice Age journey returns you to modern gratitude. You wouldn't survive 3 hours as a Neanderthal, and that's perfect, because you don't need to. You need to survive as yourself in your world.
And for that, you're exactly right. And now,
from this place of acceptance and understanding, you can learn how to apply ancient wisdom to modern challenges, how to take what they knew, translate it into practices that serve your actual life, your actual struggles, your actual path forward. Safe and warm in ancient wisdom, learn what serves you now, what translates across 40,000 years, what ancient practices can improve modern waking and modern living. The Neanderthals had no alarm clocks, no sudden mechanical jarring from deep sleep to full consciousness. They woke with light gradually as dawn illuminated their world. Their transition from sleep to waking matched natural circadian rhythms, gentle and progressive rather than abrupt and forced. Your modern mornings often violate this natural rhythm. Alarms shock you from deep sleep. You force consciousness before your body's ready. You rush from horizontal to vertical, from unconscious to active, without transition. This creates stress, cortisol spikes, grogginess that persists for hours. It's the opposite of how human bodies naturally wake. You can reclaim some Neanderthal wisdom here. Even if you need alarms, you can make waking gentler. Light-based alarms that brighten gradually. Sound alarms that start quiet and build slowly. Allowing yourself 5 or 10 minutes of transition time before demanding full function. These simple changes honor your biological need for gradual waking. Feel your body now in whatever state of wakefulness or drowsiness you're experiencing. Notice that consciousness has levels, that waking is a process, not an instant switch. The Neanderthals respected this process because forcing it wasn't possible. You can respect it too, even though forcing it is possible, because respecting it feels better and works better. The Neanderthals also had morning routines, though different from yours. They'd wake, assess immediate threats, tend the fire, begin moving their bodies to restore circulation after cold nights. Movement came early, not hours after waking. They didn't sit still consuming coffee and screens. They moved, stretched, activated their bodies immediately. Modern mornings often involve prolonged stillness after waking. You might lie in bed checking phones. You might sit with coffee for extended periods. Your body stays in sleep positions while your mind tries to activate. This creates a split between mental and physical waking that the Neanderthals never experienced. You can borrow their wisdom. Move your body soon after waking. Stretch in bed before rising. Stand and move around while still groggy. Let physical activation help mental activation rather than forcing mental alertness while remaining physically dormant. Your body and mind work better when they wake together. Let yourself imagine tomorrow morning starting this way. Gentle waking with gradual light.
A few minutes of transition time.
Immediate gentle movement to activate circulation and metabolism. No rush, no force, no violation of natural rhythms. Just patient honoring of how bodies actually want to wake. The Neanderthals also assessed their environment immediately upon waking. They'd listen, smell, look around, gathering information about conditions and threats before taking action. This morning assessment was critical survival practice, but it's also good modern practice. Taking a moment to notice how you feel, what your body needs, what your emotional state is, before diving into demands and obligations. Modern mornings often skip this assessment. You wake and immediately check messages, news, schedules, pulling your attention outward before you've even noticed inward state. You respond to external demands before assessing internal resources. This creates reactive rather than intentional mornings, where you're always catching up rather than choosing how to engage. You can practice morning assessment, a few conscious breaths upon waking.
Noticing body sensations, checking emotional state, asking what you actually need today rather than just what's demanded.
This simple practice creates grounded mornings where you're choosing your day rather than being chosen by it. The Neanderthals had no choice about this. You do, which makes conscious choice even more valuable. Feel your breath now, however it is. Notice your body, however it feels. Check your emotional state, however it is. This is assessment, simple noticing without judgment, and its ancient wisdom still valuable today. You can carry this practice into tomorrow morning and every morning. Wake, notice, assess, then choose action from awareness rather than reacting from habit. The Neanderthals ate when hungry in mornings, if food was available. They didn't force breakfast or skip it based on schedule. They responded to body signals about fuel needs. Your body still gives these signals, but modern life often teaches you to override them based on eating schedules or diet rules or time constraints. Listening to your body about morning hunger is ancient wisdom. Some people genuinely need breakfast. Some people aren't hungry until later.
Neither is wrong.
Your body knows what it needs, and modern mornings work better when you honor body wisdom rather than imposing external rules. The Neanderthals had no choice but to listen to their bodies. You have the choice to ignore or honor body signals, and honoring usually feels better. Let yourself consider your own morning hunger patterns. Do you eat breakfast from genuine hunger or from schedule? Does forcing morning food feel good or uncomfortable? What does your body actually want in mornings? These questions connect you to body wisdom the Neanderthals never had to think about because they automatically lived it. Morning sunlight was critical for the Neanderthals. Their circadian rhythms entrained to dawn light, signaling wakefulness and activity. Modern mornings often lack adequate light exposure. You might wake in darkness, spend mornings in artificial light, never get the bright natural light that fully signals your brain it's daytime. You can fix this. Prioritize morning light exposure. Go outside briefly. Sit near windows.
Use bright lights.
Get the light signal that helps your circadian rhythm know it's time for wakefulness and activity. This is ancient biology still operating in your modern body, and honoring it improves energy, mood, and nighttime sleep quality. Feel the light around you now, whatever it is. Notice that light affects your alertness, your mood, your sense of time. The Neanderthals lived in complete alignment with natural light. You can create partial alignment, and even partial alignment helps. Morning light exposure is one of the simplest, most effective practices for better sleep and better waking. The Neanderthals approached mornings with presence. They couldn't be distracted by devices or future worries. They responded to immediate reality, current threats, current resources, current needs. This morning presence is rare in modern life, but valuable. Starting your day with presence rather than distraction creates different energy for everything that follows. You can practice this. A few minutes of morning presence before checking devices or diving into planning. Just being awake, being alive, being present to this moment of new day beginning. The Neanderthals had this automatically. You can choose it intentionally, and choosing it changes morning quality profoundly. Your breath deepens now, ancient morning wisdom settling into modern application. Tomorrow morning can honor ancient patterns, gentle waking, immediate movement, environmental assessment, light exposure, presence.
These aren't rules.
They're invitations to align with biology that's 40,000 years old, but still functioning in your modern body. Rest now in planning for better mornings. The Neanderthals wake with you in tomorrow's dawn, their wisdom guiding your gentler, more natural, more body-honoring morning routines. And they also knew something about handling what you call stress, though they'd never use that word. Feel your breath matching ancient rhythms, stress dissolving in ancient understanding, learning what they knew about handling pressure and danger and the challenges that threaten well-being. The Neanderthals faced immediate physical stress, a charging predator, sudden cold, injury, food scarcity. Their stress was intense but brief. Danger appeared, they responded with everything they had. Then the danger passed, or they died. Their nervous systems handled acute stress beautifully, massive activation, total mobilization, then rapid return to baseline once threat resolved. Your stress is completely different, abstract, chronic, mental rather than physical. Work pressure, relationship tension, financial worry, health anxiety, existential concerns about future. Your threats aren't charging at you. They're hovering always, moderate but constant, never fully resolving. This creates sustained stress activation that ancient nervous systems weren't designed to handle. The Neanderthals never experienced chronic stress, as you do. Their world was acutely dangerous but then safe.
Moments of terror surrounded by hours of relative calm.
Your world is moderately stressful but constantly. Never truly dangerous, never truly safe. This chronic moderate activation is harder on bodies than occasional intense activation would be. But you can borrow Neanderthal stress responses and apply them to modern stress. Their primary response to stress was physical action. Fight or flee, move powerfully, discharge stress energy through movement. When you're stressed, your body is preparing for physical response. It's flooding you with hormones and energy for action that you never take. Feel your body now, whatever stress it's carrying. Notice that stress creates physical sensations, tension, energy, restlessness. This is your body preparing for action it never gets to take. The Neanderthals would have moved immediately. You can move too, and movement discharges stress as effectively now as it did 40,000 years ago. Walk when you're stressed. Exercise. Do physical work. Let your body use the energy stress creates. This isn't just for fitness. It's for nervous system regulation. Your body is trying to handle stress the Neanderthal way, through movement. And when you provide movement, you complete the stress cycle your biology expects. The Neanderthals also had social physical contact for stress regulation. When threatened or stressed, they'd cluster together, touch, maintain physical proximity. Physical contact with trusted others regulates nervous systems powerfully. Your body still responds this way. Hugs, touch, physical closeness with safe people calms stress as effectively now as it did in the Ice Age. Let yourself notice your need for contact when stressed. The desire to call someone, be near someone, touch someone.
This isn't weakness. It's ancient stress regulation wisdom.
The Neanderthals couldn't calm major stress alone. Neither can you, really. Your nervous system is designed for social regulation, and using that design is wisdom, not dependence. Another Neanderthal stress response was complete focus on single, immediate tasks. When facing danger, they couldn't worry about yesterday or tomorrow. They dealt with right now, with this threat, with this immediate action. This single-pointed focus is both necessary response to acute danger and effective response to chronic stress. Your modern stress often involves scattered attention across multiple concerns, worrying about work while trying to relax, thinking about past mistakes while handling present challenges, imagining future disasters while dealing with current difficulties. This scattered attention amplifies stress because you're facing everything simultaneously rather than one thing at a time. You can practice Neanderthal focus, handle one thing fully, then the next thing, then the next. When you're working, just work. When you're resting, just rest. When you're dealing with a problem, just that problem. This single-pointed attention reduces stress by eliminating the amplification effect of divided attention. Feel yourself doing this now. Right now, you're just resting, just listening, just drifting. Not also worrying, not also planning, not also reviewing. Just this moment, this experience, this simple present reality. Notice how much calmer this feels than scattered attention across multiple concerns. The Neanderthals lived this way by necessity. You can choose it by intention. The Neanderthals also understood that stress was temporary. Danger passed.
Storms ended.
Injuries healed or proved fatal. Either way, acute stress resolved. They didn't carry worry about past stresses or anticipate future ones the way modern minds do. Their stress was immediate and time-limited. Your mind creates unlimited stress by replaying past situations and pre-experiencing future ones. You can be stressed about things that haven't happened and might never happen. You can stay stressed about things that are already over. The Neanderthals' limited abstract thinking was actually protective here. They couldn't generate stress about imaginary scenarios. You can practice limiting self-generated stress, distinguish between real present problems and imagined past or future ones. Deal with what's actually happening now.
Let past situations stay past.
Refuse to suffer through future situations that haven't occurred. This doesn't mean ignoring genuine problems.
It means not amplifying them with mental time travel. Let yourself check, what are you actually stressed about right now?
Not what were you stressed about yesterday. Not what might you be stressed about tomorrow. What's the actual present stress?
Often, right now in this moment, there's actually no stress.
Stress lives in past review or future anticipation. Present reality right now is often simply okay. The Neanderthals also had natural stress limits. Their bodies could only maintain high activation for limited time before forcing rest. They had to recover because continuing wasn't possible. Modern life lets you override recovery needs with caffeine, artificial light, sheer willpower. You can maintain stress activation far longer than healthy, accumulating damage the Neanderthals' biological limits prevented. You can set your own limits. Intentional recovery time, forced rest, boundaries on work and stress exposure. The Neanderthals had these limits imposed. You have to choose them, which is harder, but choosing recovery is wisdom that prevents the accumulated damage of chronic stress. Feel your body's need for recovery now. It's always there, though you often ignore it. Notice fatigue, tension, depletion. These are signals saying you need recovery, and recovery is ancient wisdom your body still requires.
Rest isn't luxury.
It's biological necessity, as critical now as it was 40,000 years ago. The deepest Neanderthal stress wisdom is this: stress is for surviving immediate danger, not for living constantly. Your body is designed for brief stress followed by recovery. When you maintain chronic stress, you're using emergency systems as daily operating mode. This damages you the way running a car at maximum speed constantly would damage the engine. You can return to the ancient pattern: brief stress for actual problems, then recovery. Handle what's actually urgent, then rest. Face real challenges, then let your nervous system reset. Stop treating normal life as emergency. The Neanderthals only activated emergency systems for emergencies. You can do the same by recognizing that most modern stress isn't actually emergency level. Your breath slows now, stress dissolving in ancient wisdom. Brief intensity followed by calm recovery. Movement for discharge. Social contact for regulation. Single-pointed focus for clarity. Present reality for peace. These are Neanderthal gifts still useful in your modern life. Ancient solutions still solving modern problems. Rest in this wisdom. Carry it forward into tomorrow's challenges. The Neanderthals guide your stress responses toward healthier patterns. Ancient nervous systems teaching modern minds how to handle pressure without breaking. And they also knew something about darkness that modern world desperately needs to relearn. Time fades as ancient stories unfold. Embrace the rest darkness offers. Remember what your ancestors knew about night and shadow and the peace that comes only in absence of light. The Neanderthals lived with 12 to 14 hours of darkness each winter night.
No electric lights.
No screens. No ability to extend day artificially. When the sun set, darkness came completely except for firelight, and firelight is dim and red and nothing like modern lighting. They experienced true darkness, profound and absolute, every single night. This darkness wasn't enemy or obstacle. It was friend and teacher. Darkness signaled rest time, mandatory downtime when most survival work became impossible. They couldn't hunt in darkness, couldn't travel safely, couldn't do detailed work. Darkness forced rest, and this forcing was gift because it prevented overwork and exhaustion. Your world has conquered darkness. You can work 24 hours. You can be stimulated and active anytime. You can override every darkness signal your biology sends. This seems like progress, and in some ways it is, but it costs you natural sleep drive and circadian rhythm alignment. Feel your relationship with darkness now. Do you embrace it or fight it? Do you dim lights in evening or keep spaces bright until sleep? Do you allow darkness to signal rest or use artificial light to extend activity? The Neanderthals had no choice. You have choice, and choosing darkness is choosing biology. Darkness triggers melatonin production. Your pineal gland responds to darkness by releasing this sleep hormone, creating drowsiness and sleep drive. Bright light, especially blue spectrum from screens, suppresses melatonin. Every bright light exposure in evening tells your brain it's still daytime, preventing natural sleep preparation. The Neanderthals got automatic melatonin production every evening as darkness fell. Their sleep drive built naturally and powerfully because their light environment supported it. Your sleep drive fights against bright lights and screens, trying to build while your environment tells it not to. You can change this. Dim lights progressively through evening, reduce screen time, allow darkness to do its biological work. Let yourself imagine evenings with dimming light, transitioning gradually from bright to dim to dark, matching ancient patterns your biology still expects. How much easier sleep might come when your environment signals rest rather than fighting rest. This is ancient wisdom your genes remember, even though your culture forgot. The Neanderthals also knew darkness as protection. In darkness, predators had harder time seeing them around fires. Their shelters, dark inside except for low flames, were harder to detect from outside. Darkness hid them while they rested. Darkness was security blanket wrapping them safely. You might feel opposite. Darkness as vulnerability, light as safety. This is partly cultural. You associate light with security and darkness with danger because modern threats sometimes hide in darkness. But your deep biology still knows darkness as rest permission. When it's truly dark, something in you knows it's sleep time, that you don't have to be vigilant, that you can surrender to rest. Feel darkness around you now, or imagine it if you're in light. Notice that darkness invites inward turning, reduces visual stimulation, creates environment for rest. Your eyes can close in darkness without missing anything. Your visual cortex can quiet. Your brain can shift from processing external information to internal processing. The Neanderthals spent dark hours in social intimacy. Too dark for most activities. Too dark for individual separation. Darkness clustered them around fires in physical proximity, creating hours of social bonding time that didn't exist in busy daytime. Evening darkness was family time, story time, connection time. Your evenings often lack this. You stay bright and busy until sleep, maintaining daytime energy and separation. Or you're connected to screens rather than people, maintaining stimulation rather than allowing wind down. The gift of darkness, forced slowness, mandatory connection, natural rest preparation is lost. You can reclaim this evening darkness time with people you love, or with yourself if alone. Dim lights, minimal screens, presence with whatever's actually present. The Neanderthals had this automatically. You have to create it intentionally, but creating it restores something human and ancient and valuable. Let yourself feel attracted to this idea of dark evenings. Something in you knows this is right, knows brightness until sleep isn't natural, knows your biology wants transition time. The Neanderthals didn't have to think about this. You do, but thinking about it helps you recover what modern life took away. Darkness also supported their dream life. Neanderthals probably dreamed richly, their sleep uninterrupted by light pollution or alarm clocks, their dream cycles completing naturally. Darkness protected sleep quality, allowing brains to do their night work of processing, consolidating, creating. Your sleep is often light polluted and time compressed. Street lights, indicator lights, screen lights all prevent truly dark sleep environments. Alarms truncate sleep cycles before natural completion. You dream less than optimal because your sleep environment doesn't support full sleep architecture the way Neanderthal darkness did. You can fix this. Truly dark sleeping spaces, blocking lights, covering indicators, creating darkness profound enough to match ancient nights. This single change often improves sleep quality dramatically. Your brain needs darkness for full sleep cycling, and providing darkness gives your brain what it's asking for. Feel your eyes now, resting or closed. Notice how darkness is gentle on eyes, how it requires nothing from visual system, how it lets vision rest completely. The Neanderthals gave their eyes 12 hours of darkness rest every night. Your eyes often get much less. Darkness is gift to your visual system, permission to stop processing light and simply rest. The deepest gift of darkness is permission to be human rather than doing human. In brightness, you can always do more, be more, accomplish more. Darkness says no. Darkness says enough. Darkness says rest now, work is for daylight. The Neanderthals received this permission nightly. You can choose to receive it too. Your modern world pushes constant doing. Darkness gives permission for being. Just existing, just breathing, just resting in your own aliveness without any requirement to prove or produce or achieve. The Neanderthals had this every night for 12 hours. You can have it too if you choose darkness rather than fighting it. Let yourself sink into darkness now, whether actual or imagined. Feel how it holds you, hides you, protects you, how it asks nothing and offers everything, how it's not enemy but friend, Not danger but safety, not problem but solution. Darkness is ancient blessing still available, still powerful, still waiting for you to receive it. Rest now in darkness, wisdom. Evening dimming, night darkness, morning gentle light. These rhythms are older than cities, older than agriculture, older than modern humans. They're Neanderthal rhythms, mammal rhythms, life rhythms. Your body knows them even though your culture forgot them. Return to darkness, receive its gifts, sleep in its protection. The Neanderthals sleep in eternal darkness now, but they left you knowledge of darkness's value, of night's necessity, of rest's requirement for darkness deep and complete. Carry this wisdom forward. Dim your evenings, darken your nights. Let darkness do its ancient work of bringing you home to rest and dreams and morning renewal. And they knew one final secret, one last piece of wisdom about bedtime protection and psychological security that brings perfect peace. Safe and warm in ancient wisdom, receive their final protection. The last gift they offer from across impossible time. The secret of creating safety through ritual and meaning. Archaeological sites show that Neanderthals placed objects intentionally at cave entrances and around sleeping areas. Arranged stones marked bones, symbolic patterns. These weren't functional barriers. They couldn't actually stop predators. They were psychological tools, creating sense of boundary, marking territory, establishing protection through meaning rather than physical defense. This is sophisticated thinking, understanding that psychological security matters almost as much as physical security. Knowing that marking space as protected makes sleep easier, even when marking doesn't add actual physical protection. Creating ritual boundaries, because ritual boundaries work on nervous systems, on feelings of safety, on ability to release vigilance and rest. You do the same thing without realizing its ancient behavior. You lock doors that are already locked, checking them before sleep. You arrange furniture in specific ways for feeling of security. You have bedtime routines that signal safety and rest time. These aren't just habits. They're protection rituals, ancient psychological security practices your unconscious mind still knows and needs. Feel your own protection rituals now. The ways you create security before sleep. How you arrange space, what you check, what you do to feel safe enough to rest. The Neanderthals did this 60,000 years ago. You do it now. The form changed, but the psychological function is identical, creating safety feeling that lets nervous system release into sleep. The Neanderthals probably also had objects they associated with protection. Specific stones, marked bones, things that carried meaning beyond their physical properties. Keeping these objects near during sleep provided psychological comfort. Not superstition, but practical psychology. Having protection symbols nearby makes feeling protected easier. You might have this too. Objects on nightstand, specific items that feel important, things whose presence creates comfort. Maybe photos, maybe meaningful objects, maybe items with personal significance. These are your protection objects, your psychological security symbols. Your version of Neanderthal marked stones and arranged bones. Let yourself appreciate these objects and rituals rather than dismissing them as irrational. They work psychologically even if they don't work physically. Your nervous system responds to protection symbols, and responding to them is wisdom, not weakness. The Neanderthals knew this intuitively. You can know it consciously. Their entrance markers created boundaries between outside danger and inside safety. Crossing that marked threshold meant entering protected space, leaving threat world behind, arriving in rest world. The physical marking supported mental transition from vigilance to relaxation, from warrior mode to rest mode. You have similar boundaries. Your front door, your bedroom door, may be specific threshold into your bed itself. Each boundary can be psychological transition point if you treat it that way. Crossing into home means leaving work stress outside. Entering bedroom means leaving daytime activation behind. Getting into bed means releasing everything except rest. The Neanderthals reinforced these boundaries through ritual, specific actions at entry, specific arrangements maintained, specific acknowledgements of transition. You can do the same. Intentional recognition of crossing into protected space, deliberate acknowledgement of safety, conscious permission to release vigilance because you're now in marked safe zone. Feel yourself in your rest space now, inside all your boundaries, surrounded by your protection symbols.
Held in your ritual-created safety.
This isn't imagination. This is real psychological security your nervous system needs and responds to. You are protected, and marking that protection makes the protection feel more real and accessible. The Neanderthals also marked time transitions ritually, activities that signaled day ending, work stopping, rest beginning. Maybe specific tool putting away, specific fire banking, specific positioning changes. These rituals told body and mind, vigilance time is over, rest time begins, you can release now into sleep. Your bedtime routine is this same ritual. Specific actions in specific order, performed nightly, signaling to nervous system that sleep approaches. When your routine is consistent, your body knows what's coming and begins preparation. When your routine is inconsistent or rushed, your body misses signals and stays more activated. You can strengthen your sleep ritual, consistent actions, consistent timing, consistent meaning. The Neanderthals had powerful sleep rituals because consistency was forced by circumstance. You have to create consistency intentionally, but creating it gives you the same benefit. Nervous system that knows what's coming and prepares appropriately. Let yourself plan your sleep ritual with intention. What action signal rest time?
What order makes sense?
What consistency can you maintain? This isn't just about sleep hygiene. It's about psychological security, about ritual protection, about ancient practices that still work, because nervous systems still respond the same way they did 60,000 years ago. The Neanderthals' protection practices also included group arrangement. Who slept where, who watched when, how bodies arranged for mutual warmth and protection. This created physical and psychological security. You're not alone in danger. Others are watching, group will respond to threat. Your sleep might be solitary or with one other, lacking that group security they had. But you can still access group protection conceptually. Awareness that others exist who care about you, who would help if needed, who share your human vulnerability and human need for rest. You're part of human community even when sleeping alone, connected across distances to billions of others also resting in this same night. Feel that connection now. Across your city, your country, your world, humans are sleeping. You're part of that vast nightly surrender, that global rest, that shared human experience of releasing day and trusting night. The Neanderthals slept in small groups. You sleep in global human family, connected through shared biology and shared need for rest and renewal. Their final protection wisdom was this: safety is partly physical but mostly psychological. You need actual security, yes, but you also need to feel secure, and feeling secure requires ritual, symbol, boundary, meaning. Protection practices work through belief and feeling as much as through physical effect. You can create complete protection tonight. Physical security through actual locks and barriers. Psychological security through ritual and symbol and boundary marking. The Neanderthals did both. You can too. And when both are present, sleep comes easily because your nervous system knows it's truly safe to rest. Your breath deepens now, ancient protection surrounding you. Boundaries marked. Rituals completed. Symbols present. Safety established physically and psychologically. You're held in layers of protection, modern and ancient, practical and symbolic, physical and psychological. You can rest completely because you're completely protected. The Neanderthals offer this final gift: permission to create safety through meaning, to trust ritual protection, to honor psychological needs for security symbols and boundary markers. You don't have to rationalize these needs. You don't have to prove they work physically. They work psychologically, and psychological working is real working. Use these tools. Trust these practices. Rest in protection you've created, and now, with all their wisdom received,
all their gifts accepted, all their lessons learned,
you can receive their final blessing, the ancient benediction they offer from eternal sleep to your temporary one.
As they drifted to sleep, so do you.
Blessed by ancient wisdom, held by ancient knowing, guided by ancient peace into rest and dreams and morning renewal. Imagine the last Neanderthal evening, perhaps 40,000 years ago, perhaps in southern Spain or the Balkans, one of their final refugees before they vanished from the world. A small group, maybe 10 individuals, gathering as darkness falls. They don't know they're among the last. They only know this evening, this moment, this gathering that's happened thousands of times before and will happen unknown thousands of times again before the final ending. They move through practiced routines, banking the fire to last the night, arranging sleeping spaces with ancient precision, positioning themselves for warmth and security and connection. Adults and children, young and old, the whole small group that's their entire social world. They settle close to each other, physical touch casual and constant, presence unquestioned and total. One by one they drift towards sleep, some watching while others rest. The rotating pattern that's kept humans alive through countless dangerous nights. No words as you'd recognize words, but sounds maybe. Gentle vocalizations of comfort and connection. The sonic texture of group peace and safety. They feel what you're feeling now. The satisfaction of another day survived, the relief of warmth after cold, the comfort of food in belly and shelter overhead, the deep pleasure of rest after exertion, the gift of safety in a dangerous world. Human experience hasn't changed in this fundamental way. What brought them peace brings you peace. What let them rest lets you rest. Feel yourself joining that ancient circle.
Not physically, not literally, but in consciousness and connection.
They're your ancestors, maybe genetically, but certainly spiritually. They're human family across impossible distance, experiencing the same nightly surrender you're experiencing now.
Time dissolves and you're sitting with them, lying with them.
Drifting into rest with them across 40,000 years of separation that becomes, for this moment, no separation at all. They don't worry about tomorrow. They can't plan far future or regret distant past. They're here now in this evening, in this rest, in this peace. And for this moment you can be the same, not worried about tomorrow, not regretting yesterday, just here, now. In this evening, in this rest, in this peace that's identical to peace they felt 40,000 years ago. Your consciousness is more complex than theirs maybe, your thoughts more abstract, your awareness more extended, but your body is the same. Your nervous system is the same. Your need for rest is the same.
Your capacity for peace is the same.
In the deep biology of being human, you and they are identical. And in that identity, you can rest together across time. They give you their blessing now. These ancient humans who knew survival so intimately, who understood rest so deeply, who lived close to life and death every day. They bless your survival, which is easier than theirs, but still real. They bless your rest, which is safer than theirs, but still necessary. They bless your journey, which is different from theirs, but still human. You carry their resilience, their adaptation, their consciousness forward. Every peaceful sleep honors their struggle and survival. You're alive because they survived. You're resting safely because humanity survived. Your peace tonight is built on millions of years of ancestral survival, and the Neanderthals are part of that foundation, that long story, that deep legacy. Feel their blessing flowing through time to you. From their ancient nights to your modern night, from their fires to your warm room, from their dangerous world to your safer one, the blessing flows. Rest well. Sleep deeply.
Wake renewed.
You've survived another day, and survival deserves celebration through rest. You're safe enough to release vigilance, and safety deserves gratitude. You're alive and conscious and experiencing this moment, and life deserves appreciation. Their DNA lives in you if you have ancestry outside Africa. Their genes might be fighting infections right now, regulating your temperature, affecting your immune response, shaping your physical form. They're not gone. They're transformed, integrated, woven into your biological being. When you rest, their genes rest. When you survive, they survive through you. Their wisdom lives in you too, the lessons you've learned tonight. Temperature appreciation, belonging understanding, stress wisdom,
Darkness knowledge.
protection ritual. All these ancient knowings are yours now, carried forward from them through you into whatever future emerges. Let yourself sink into deepest rest now. Ancient blessings supporting modern sleep. You would die in 3 hours as a Neanderthal because you're not a Neanderthal. You're modern human, perfectly adapted to modern life, carrying ancient gifts into contemporary thriving. You're exactly right. Precisely correct. Utterly adequate for your actual existence. The Neanderthals rest in eternal sleep. Their struggles ended, their adaptations complete, their story finished, except in the ways it continues through you. They don't worry anymore.
They don't struggle.
They simply are, preserved in stone and DNA, and now in your awareness and understanding. You rest in temporary sleep. Your struggles ongoing but manageable. Your adaptations continuing, your story unfolding day by day. Tonight you can release those struggles just as they released theirs. Tonight your story can pause while you rest and restore and prepare for tomorrow's chapters. Feel your breath now, slow and deep and peaceful.
Ancient rhythms pulsing through modern body.
Neanderthal wisdom supporting contemporary rest. Ice Age knowledge translated into current comfort. You're breathing the same air they breathed, under the same moon they saw, experiencing the same human peace they knew. The stars above you now are the stars they saw every night. The same constellations, though you know different stories about them. The same distant lights that guided their understanding and guide yours. Look up in your mind's eye and see those stars, and know that human eyes have been seeing them for hundreds of thousands of years, and will keep seeing them long after you've joined the Neanderthals in eternal rest. But that's far future. Tonight is now. This sleep is present. This rest is immediate. And in this present moment you can simply be human, simply rest, simply surrender to sleep the way humans have surrendered to sleep since consciousness emerged to know itself and know its need for periodic release. The Neanderthals are singing you to sleep now. Wordless songs from ancient throats, sounds of comfort and connection and peace.
Can you hear them across impossible time?
Can you feel their presence, their blessing, their gift of knowing that you're part of something vast and old and ongoing? You're not alone in the night. You're connected to billions sleeping now, and billions who slept before, and billions who will sleep after. You're part of the great human rest, the nightly surrender, the constant rhythm of consciousness, releasing into unconsciousness and returning renewed. Safe and warm in ancient wisdom, protected by modern security and ancient ritual, blessed by Neanderthal ancestors, and surrounded by human family. You can rest completely now. You can release everything. You can surrender to sleep knowing you're held by more than you can imagine. The Neanderthals give you permission to rest in your own way, to be weak in ways that don't matter, to be strong in ways that do. They give you permission to be imperfect, to be contextually adapted, to be specifically good at specific things and specifically weak at others. They give you permission to be exactly who you are. You'd die in 3 hours as a Neanderthal.
And that's beautiful because it proves you're something else.
Something equally valid, something perfectly right for your world. They were Ice Age masters and you're modern master, and both masteries are real and valuable and worthy of honor. Let yourself drift now into deepest sleep. The Neanderthals drift with you, their ancient rest joining your modern rest, their eternal peace blessing your temporary peace. You're safe.
You're held.
You're blessed by wisdom older than words and deeper than thought. Dream of ice ages if you dream at all. Dream of survival and adaptation and the long human journey from then to now. Dream of belonging and protection and rest, earned through another day, survived. Dream of ancient fires and modern comfort, of Neanderthal strength and modern wisdom,
Of differences that honor both and judgments that diminish neither. And when you wake,
you'll carry their gifts forward. Resilience, appreciation, understanding that you're exactly as you should be. You'll carry their blessing, survive well, adapt truly, rest deeply, wake renewed. You'll carry their presence. They live in your genes, your consciousness, your nightly return to the ancient human practice of releasing day and trusting night. The Neanderthals are sleeping now in eternal rest. You're sleeping in temporary rest. The difference is degree, not kind. Both are sleep, both are peace. Both are the blessed release of consciousness into the healing darkness that restores and renews all living things. Safe and warm in ancient wisdom, blessed by ancient knowing,
held by ancient peace,
protected by ancestors who survived so you could exist, guided by wisdom tested through 400,000 years of Ice Age mastery, carried into sleep by the same forces that carried them into sleep 40,000 years ago. Rest now, dream now, sleep now. The Neanderthals bless your rest from eternal sleep. The ancient ones give permission for modern peace. The Ice Age masters honor your different mastery of different challenges. You're exactly right, precisely adequate, utterly sufficient for your life and world and moment. Sleep well, modern human carrying ancient legacy. Sleep deeply, conscious being releasing into unconscious restoration. Sleep peacefully, a live creature, trusting the nightly death and rebirth that consciousness knows as rest and waking. The Neanderthals are with you. Your ancestors surround you. The long human story holds you. And in this holding, in this blessing, in this ancient wisdom supporting modern rest, you can release everything and simply sleep. Safe and warm in ancient wisdom, blessed by ancient peace,
held by ancient knowing,
exactly where you need to be, exactly who you need to be, exactly right for exactly now. Rest now, dream now, sleep now. The ancient ones have spoken their blessing. The journey is complete. The wisdom is transferred. The peace is received, and tomorrow night, if you choose, you'll walk further back in time together, exploring deeper ancestry, meeting more ancient humans, learning more ancient wisdom. But tonight, this is enough.
This is complete.
This is the blessing and the rest and the peace that's all you need right now. Sleep well, beloved human. You've survived another day. You've learned ancient wisdom. You've received eternal blessing, and now you can simply rest, simply sleep, simply be safe and warm in ancient wisdom.
As they drifted to sleep,
So do you.